Running through the maze, I felt the pain, chasing my only dream, breaks in the scheme. Waking up at dawn, all my fears are gone. I'll stop today, never, never, not today. Not gonna fall. Step by step I go, faster than the flow. Broke through every chain, I will not be contained.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? I knew I had to wake you guys up sometime. Good morning, everybody. Man, oh man, what a day. Today's going to be. I get to air park my front porch. I'm so excited. So excited. Oh man. Bit of death metal going on there. I like it. Oh no. Well, thank you, King Paco. I appreciate it. I got one that I'm working on. That's one that I'm going to use probably throughout the week and at night. I don't know if I need to be waking you guys up with that. You've not been asleep yet? Oh man, sorry to hear that, Debbie. Just get some of that rest. It's really needed. Oh man, yeah. I really want to show this to you because there was a little thing that Harrison Waltz put out, and this is the problem. The damage gets done before you can really dig into what it is that they're talking about. So Harris Waltz put out a statement on Vance calling the school shootings a fact of life. Yesterday, Vice President Harris said it doesn't have to be this way in response to another senseless school shooting. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance think school shootings are a fact of life and we have to get over it. Vice President Harris and Governor Waltz know we can take action, keep our children safe, and keep guns out of the hands of criminals. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will always choose the NRA and gun lobby over our children. This is a choice in the election. But that's not what was said. That's not what was said. That's the bad part about this. Unfortunately, what was said was something much less nefarious. Much less nefarious. This right here is what was actually said.
I don't like this. I don't like to admit this. I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools so that a person who walks through the front door we've got to bolster security so that if a psycho wants to walk through the front door and kill a bunch of children, they're not able to.
That's what was said. It's sort of sad because they had to actually show the video, put it in context. And that just must have really hurt their feelings quite a bit. Must have really hurt their feelings.
First of all, what happened in Georgia is just an awful tragedy. And I know we've got a lot of parents and a lot of grandparents in this room. I mean, I cannot imagine, little kids so excited to go back to school. God love them. And they're at their first week back from the summer. And an absolute barbarian decides to open fire and take their lives and also a couple teachers. I don't like this. I don't like to admit this. I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools so that a person who walks through the front door we've got to bolster security so that if a psycho wants to walk through the front door and kill a bunch of children, they're not able to. And again, as a parent, do I want my kids' school to have additional security? No, of course I don't. I don't want my kids to go to school in a place where they feel like you've got to have additional security, but that is increasingly the reality that we live in.
So,
first of all,
so that right there is why Camel Toe, because of AP's poor reporting, of course, because, you know, that would just be too much for him. Good morning, Ingrid. Good morning, Debbie. Oh, I didn't say hello to everyone. Good morning, Volstorm, Captain Kern, King Paco. King Paco, why are you waking up in the morning listening to drama on YouTube? There's no place for that. FBI, he was on a watch list as well. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that too. Bad people exist. That is a fact of life. Yes. And of course, and they had to retract this, but of course, Camel Toe has never retracted their statement. He doesn't like the idea of his own kid going to school with hardened security. And you heard exactly what he said. You notice this big blank spot right here in the middle of the screen. That big blank spot right there. They retracted it. They pulled it out of the news article. He called the Pew Pew in Georgia an awful tragedy. And the families in wider Georgia need prayers and sympathies, which is very true. And of course, now, why hasn't Harris come out and retracted their statement? Weird, huh? But you know what their kicking point is going to be for the next, what? I don't know how many days until Vance has to show up with going up against Tim Walz in a debate, because they take things out of context, and this will be the biggest question that they have trying to answer on the debate stage, instead of what do you plan on doing to make this country great again? What are you going to do, Waltz, to make this country great again? He won't be able to talk about it. And of course, Harris, who leads the new White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, really, is she? I don't think we have anything to worry about. As you probably learned over the past 4 years, if Camel Toe is in charge of something, you don't have to worry about it happening. She was in charge of border security. That didn't happen. She was in charge of women's rights. Well, that didn't happen. She was in charge of all these different things that she's never done a damn thing with. But it makes her resume look good. Good morning, Miami. Good to see you. How you doing? Oh my God. So don't be too worried about Camel Toe being in charge of gun violence prevention. She didn't prevent the southern border from being invaded. She didn't prevent inflation from skyrocketing. She didn't prevent food prices rising. She didn't prevent anything else. The women being violated in men's sports. She hadn't really done anything that I can think of except talk a lot. That she's really good at. That she is really good at. Because whenever you put Camel Toe in charge of things, what do you think is going to happen? Things like this.
And we're talking about specifically something that happened to Black people here in America. So we have to be specifically targeting to help those people, because we put those people in a position, and everybody knows the history. Yeah. Everybody understands the history of America. That's right. America, you did this to these people. You should write laws for these people. Don't group us in with everybody, because everybody didn't happen to everybody. But that's
that right there would be racism. Rules for one set of class of people than not the other? That's sort of the definition of racism. You'd think she would know this as an attorney. Maybe she does know it, just refuses to ignore it. Maybe that's what the problem is, that she believes she should only have rules for one class of people. You're black, then these rules don't apply to you. If you're gay, these rules don't apply to you. If you're a woman, these rules don't apply to you. And that's one way to get people pitted up against one another. Why not? It would make life so much easier if everybody hates everybody, wouldn't it? It would make it so interesting. We're gonna have to do something about that. Just we have an election coming up, and there's a way to get this handled. It's an absolute beautiful way to get this handled. And one of the first things you can do is get rid of people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. You could make them go away.
The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants.
Good morning, Texas Jen.
And all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Well, it's something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is
Before
before
you-
your residency. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented. Is that move them to documented? One of the best things that we can do for our economy is to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
What did I tell you? They want to allow these people to vote that aren't American citizens. Weird, huh? I hope that Texas Jen is doing wonderful this morning. I really do. I hope all you fine people are doing well this morning. And of course, Hunter Biden enters a surprise guilty plea to avoid tax trials months after his owning an illegal firearm. Do you think maybe we give him the same treatment that this child that went into the school and went pew pew everywhere? Do you think maybe he gets the same treatment? Oh, sure, he didn't delete anyone, but neither did the kid's father. His father's being charged. So maybe they should go after Hunter Biden's dad too and have him arrested for allowing his son to own a firearm. Seems like they wanted to have it both ways, because feel bad for the dad, but lock G'd up, man, is not gonna. We've already seen what they do. This is how they roll. Child does something, parents are to blame for it. Unless they're chopping their bits off, then, well, the parents should stay out of the way of that one. Los Angeles, Joe Biden's son Hunter pleaded guilty Thursday to federal tax charges. No, it's called tax evasion charges. Yeah, you're not supposed to be evading taxes. A surprise move that meant to spare his family another painful and embarrassing criminal trial after his gun case. After his illegally purchased firearm conviction just months ago. Hunter Biden's decision to plead guilty to misdemeanor and felony charges without the benefits of a deal with prosecutors caps a long-running saga over his legal woes that have cast a shadow over his father's political career. It came hours after jury selection was supposed to begin the case, accusing him of falling prey to at least $1.4 million in taxes. Oh, failing to pay. Sorry. No, he's guilty. He just admitted it. So yeah, the admission is guilt. The president's son was already facing potential prison time. No, he's facing prison time. But if he was black, it would be a different law, so he wouldn't have to worry about it. Or if he was Asian, it would be different. Or possibly if maybe he just slobbed on the big old, purple-headed monster, he might be able to get off just a little bit differently. You never know. Oh, because you can't have the same laws for one as the other. You can't report the news the same as you do on the other. Because you notice how they're obliged. AP is obliged to talk about it. But for months and months and years, for the past, almost 2 years, you've had the AP, every damn court filing, they write a news story about Donald Trump. But yeah, whenever it comes to Joe Biden's son, well, this happened today. Sorry, we have to report on it. Bye. Guess we know. Everyone gave me a hell yeah for shizzy. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Good morning, Betsy. Yeah, the president's son was already facing personal time after his June conviction on felony gun charges in a trial that aired unflattering and salacious details. Now, you'd be sure that they would be telling you, if this was Trump, they would be telling you every single salacious detail in the news article. Like about him just, let's see, prostitutes, hookers, cousin, young women, foreign countries, multiple foreign countries, prostitutes, trafficking of women, drug trafficking. Yeah, all of those things. Because see, if you're on a private plane and you're bringing drugs back on a private plane, that's still considered trafficking. If you're taking women from one country to another country to drop them off so they can be used as sex slaves, that's human trafficking. But they haven't really dug into that. Imagine if they started really digging into the crap that he's been doing, how much they could find. The trial was expected to showcase more potentially lurid evidence, as well as details about Hunter Biden's foreign business details with which Republicans, they've tried to paint the Biden family as corrupt. Well, let's see, because they are. You don't have to try. Why doesn't the AP report say the Republicans have seized on this to expose the corruption in the Biden crime family? I like that information a little bit better. He says, of course, I will not subject my family to more pain. Yeah, painalism is really bad. More invasions of privacy. Oh yeah, you don't want them digging because of all the shady shit you've been doing. Hunter Biden said in an email statement after he entered his plea, "For all of I put them through over the years, I can spare them this, and I think I have decided to plead guilty." No, because once they start digging on where the money came from, that stuff gets thrown in court, shown in court. That right there, it's information. Stick to the facts. It's Russian disinformation. Oh my God, what's wrong with you, Shizzy? Although So President Joe Biden's decision to drop out of the 24 presidential election muted the potential political implications of the case. The trial was expected to carry a heavy emotional toll for the president. How? The man doesn't even know where he is in the morning. He's got some few hours of cognitive ability, and then it declines after after a certain time. It goes away. Just he has to take a lot of drugs just to be able to speak to people. So what do you mean emotional toll? Hell, he probably didn't even remember it even the next day. He goes, "Oh, what do I need to say? I don't understand." Hunter put his family first today. Oh, it was so brave and bold. It was a loving thing for him to do. Defense attorney Abby Lowell told reporters outside the federal courthouse in Los Angeles. Hunter Biden, 54, quickly responded, "Guilty, guilty. I'll take the guilty," as the judge read out each of the 9 counts. He showed no emotion as he walked out of the court halls, holding his wife's hand. He ignored the questions shouted at him by reporters before climbing into SUV and just driving off. So brave, so bold. Oh my God. Talking about brave and bold. Look at this man. How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hearing you.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Good. I wasn't sure. I've been. I don't always understand if my speaker is working or not. So, yeah.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I just. What was I doing today? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I went. I took some photos. I went for a walk, a different direction, and I think I posted them on different things, just temples and shrines and stuff. But then I found out this white carp, like a big carp, and it was literally in a ditch by the sidewalk. I mean, it was a fountain, but it was maybe
okay.
only. It was just like a rectangular, like a planter box, well, longer than that. And I looked down in the water, and there are these big Japanese carp, and there's a white one. So I took a picture of the white one.
That is awesome.
I just thought it was kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're in a little enclosed space, that is really weird, especially if they're getting big. You would think somebody would have pulled them out. Don't you dare get those. Yeah. Well, and there was a guy when I worked out at Lake Lanier, the marina in Gainesville.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that would walk out on his deck, and he would stomp his foot on the deck. And all of a sudden, all these carp would come up, and just their little mouths would be doing this number. And he would feed them dog food. He would just toss dog food out there.
Yeah, that's what I realized they're used to being fed, because I was trying to just hold my iPhone and take a video for like 60 seconds, but I moved a bit, and then these bigger carp came because they thought, oh, I'm going to feed them. So, yeah, they were. Yeah, it was kind of. It was. I usually don't see that. I mean, the carp are pretty expensive. Like each one, some of them are a few $1,000s each.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you can get those. They're like a garbage fish. You can get tons of them here.
Okay,
States.
the one I was. It was called a platinum ogon. Anyways, it was like a solid metallic white, all metallic white. Sounds like I'm talking about a car. But they have the different colors and stuff like that. Not
Nice.
not the suckers you get in the river. Those are invasive, and they're kind of a garbage fish. But you have these carp that are bred for the colors. Yeah, they could be a couple $1,000s each. And yeah, actually, what you have in the States, you not only have the Asian carp. I think they're an invasive species, but people have also been releasing their goldfish into the systems, and the goldfish get really big.
Yeah.
And both of them are a problem because they muddy up the bottom, and so you can take a pond, but suddenly they bottom feed and messes up the water and drives out other species. I
Mhm.
don't think it's very good for bass, either largemouth or smallmouth. I don't think it's good for them. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Carping live to be 100 years old. I don't know
really.
about that, but that's
Yeah,
insane.
you don't eat. I mean, maybe some other like Eastern Europeans and Chinese may eat them, but they probably breed them in cleaner water. I can't imagine taking something out of a river in the States because it's gonna be full of heavy metals and everything. Yeah.
Only a few heavy metals. I mean,
Oh, okay.
who
Yeah. Okay.
doesn't like heavy metal?
Well, mercury is great. Methyl mercury. It does wonders for your nervous system and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
PCBs. I mean, look, maybe it's nice to have something that lasts forever. Love sure doesn't. Herpes does, and
Uh,
so does PCB. So yeah,
yeah.
there's a
Yeah, I
plus.
mean, you can just have a few of them.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah,
have
just a taste. You know,
Oh my
TP,
god.
lead, cadmium. Cadmium, I think that what does cadmium do? Um, it
Uh,
it causes your bones to basically, you know, it's very painful and
Deteriorate.
you're yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, cadmium, of course, you know what mercury does, but that's why when I was looking at solar panels, oh yeah, solar's the answer. Though I don't know now, but certainly the ones that were when they make them in China, there's a lot of cadmium in them. So I was always thinking, if these things have to be disposed of, let alone just break, you have them on your roof or you have them on your field. How how do you control for the cadmium that's in the solar panels? Uh,
Oh no.
I have you checked recently? Are they cadmium free? I don't think so.
I don't think they are either. I
Yeah.
mean, they might be. They might be. I
Yeah, so I'm
mean,
not a big fan of this. But I got a solar watch the other day.
oh, did you? I remember those whenever I was a kid.
No,
So
this is
do you
hold on, I'm trying to get it. It's a G-Shock. Damn it, the strap.
okay. And I know they had one that was that's also a that off the motion of your body it'll start
Oh
charging.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So this is a
awesome.
G-Shock. So I have it.
Yeah,
It's solar, and then you have
batteries too.
the bottom. You can hardly see it, but the bottom clock on the
Yeah.
bottom that's set to London time, and
Okay.
then you get all these doodads. But you know, yeah, I turned
Nice.
out it's solar, and then I wear this one. This is my this is a cheap. This is Seiko. It's an automatic, but I like. Okay, so how do you?
Yeah, I like that. That
So
looks like a
like 20 years ago or so, it's not an expensive watch. It's an
no.
automatic. The Chinese were counterfeiting them, so Seiko thought, oh, if we put a glass back instead of a steel back, then the Chinese won't counterfeit them anymore. But it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. They're counterfeiting. It's like oh geez, does it focus? But you can see
Yeah,
the
I can see
mechanism.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So so this is like a so this is kind of if you look at it, it's like a poor man's date adjust. Um,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get it's not. I mean, here I'm just gonna I just put on a NATO strap. The strap they give you on this is so crappy. It's so jingly and everything.
I
But
know
you
what you
see
mean.
the crown is at the 4 o'clock position. I
Yeah.
don't know. I really like that. I just like so
Yeah. I do like that much better because then you're not
yeah.
because whenever you've got it directly across on your arm, you're always hitting it or
Yeah.
moving it. It's weird.
So I have so I wear the this is my original one. So I keep that. I don't know why. It's until I get used to the Casio, to the G-Shock, I just I switched my Seiko to my right hand. And oh, by the way, coincidentally, the way you don't wind it, it doesn't have a hacking mechanism, so you have to shake it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works.
So does that mean that you get that thing working a lot, get it
Yeah.
happening?
You're supposed to just shake it, but if I go outside, I'm just swinging my arms. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, and
Yeah,
then
gotcha.
And then this one I need to get sunlight. But this is like 125 grams. This is like a quarter pound, right?
Yeah,
A
those
quarter
things
pound.
are
That's
heavy as hell.
heavy. And this one is half. This is 60 grams. So this is like 1/8 of a pound. So it's just like, yeah. I don't know.
So
But
I've had two people send me this damn thing, and I'm gonna have to show it because it's hilarious. All right.
The Wells Fargo employee died at her desk.
Oh, yeah.
And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. It's a story we first reported yesterday. Tonight, Tempe police are confirming the timeline of when the woman clocked in to when her colleagues found the body. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in the studio with new details tonight. Gabby, 4 days. I mean, this poor woman went 4 days undiscovered. It's hard to believe.
And that's a question many employees are asking themselves tonight.
Deceased. I don't think she minded.
With an employee who said that she shared her perspective on the workplace environment, and they say it's a big building, but most people don't work there on a daily basis. A Wells Fargo employee went to work the morning of Friday, August 16th, and never went home. Tempe police tell 12 News 60-year-old Denise Prudhomme scanned into work at 7 o'clock in the morning. 4 days later, police responded to the office building near Washington Street and Priest Drive for reports of a subject down. Prudhomme was declared dead. The Tempe Police Criminal Investigation Bureau is investigating, but do not suspect foul play. A Wells Fargo employee exclusively spoke with 12 News, but asked not to be recorded or identified out of fear for their job. They say a colleague found Prudhomme dead at her desk in a cubicle while walking around the building on Tuesday, August 20th. Prudhomme's cubicle was reportedly on the 3rd floor and away from the main aisle. This employee says several people had smelled a foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. They say while most Wells Fargo employees at this Tempe location work remote, the building has 24/7 security, and someone should have found Prudhomme sooner. The incident left several employees feeling scared and uneasy. This employee wants to see new safety protocols in place, telling me, quote, "It's negligence in some part." A different worker also spoke with 12 News anonymously.
It was just uncomfortable.
Again, calling on the company to do more.
Body was there about 4 days before anybody found it, before anybody walked up to her and just to say hi, make sure she's okay. She was just laying on her desk.
A Wells Fargo spokesperson previously sent 12 News a statement saying, in part, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our colleague at our Tempe office," adding counselors through our employee assistance consulting service are available to support employees. An employee tells me their direct management offered those services, addressed the incident, and told workers the building was thoroughly cleaned.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Beatles classic, "A Day in the Life," you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I don't know if I can share this. I'm going to try. I'm going to...
yeah.
I'm going
Wells
to...
Fargo cares about their employees. Yes. May she rest in peace. Or in her cubicle, one of the two. I mean... That's what you call taking a nap at work.
that was file type. Okay, I don't know how to do. Oh, I had a picture of I helped a guy named Will. He visited Japan and he had a tattoo. It was kind of a cover up, a shoulder piece, and it was a cover up. He got it done. It was a large piece, but he got it done in 2 days because he had to fly back to Dubai. But it was so we worked with a sketch that it was actually what Jiraiya posted. It was a Chinese legend where the carp swim up a river, and then if you reach the top of the river, you become a dragon. So that's the tattoo. And then you see these carp that don't make it up the river; they're falling. And so he kind of identified them as his failures. He had a divorce, and maybe something else. But the guy was like, he was 40 when I met him. He just turned 40, so he immediately turned to a life of cocaine and hookers. I'm kidding.
Oh wow! That's what you do.
He joined the United States Navy as an enlisted man, and he finished his GRE when he was in Navy. He does that, and then he gets to go to college. And then 9/11 breaks out, And then he goes,
Oh.
okay. So he goes to Army. This time he gets to go to OCR, right? And so he's an officer. And then he goes to diplomatic security service in state,
Oh, nice.
That way you get on you keep your points, from the point when you're 17, right? Navy, maybe even when he was using the scholarship, for his 4-year college, he might have been reserve or something like that. Then OCR. So by the time he turns 40, guess what? He can actually, it's not huge, but he can technically retire with a pension, right? It's not that was kind of cool. So I thought, I kind of joked. I said, well, you don't have a lot of dead failures, you have a divorce, but it's only one wife. You're not like and she's not suing you for millions. He ended up I don't know where he is now, but that was a great tattoo. And I was looking to see if I could post and present it, but I can't because maybe I can. Yeah, I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, it's all right. All right.
Yeah. But anyways, that was the Jiraiya posted about carp. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
What do you fish for around your place? Do you have like bluegill?
I'm
bass?
sure there's bluegill is around everywhere. But we've got largemouth bass, trout, bass. You've got the of course you have to stay away from the Chattahoochee brownfish. Those will like destroy you pretty intense.
What are you talking about? They're catfish or they're snakehead? Those invasive
Nope.
species?
No, they're a sightless fish. They smell really bad. They usually float down the Chattahoochee and into the they don't really swim upstream or anything. They tend to flow downstream.
Oh, you know who else worked for Wells Fargo?
Ooh.
Well, we shouldn't really talk about it because it's channel.
Oh yeah, we won't talk about that. Yeah.
But the person I call the knicker, and I don't know if there's people getting.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He worked at.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick. I forgot about that. No, you won't get me in trouble for that. I mean, that's right, because he's talked about that himself.
No, I know, but sometimes the subject is some people. I get it. I actually am repulsed by the guy, so I can't. It's weird. I can't stand watching him. And then I would watch the clips, but sometimes even the clips, I'm going, I cannot hear these cope things, and that's enough. I already, how much do I? It would be like listening to Hunter Biden and having people around him. I've heard this, by the way. Oh, how dare you criticize? Let me tell you, he is brave. He is a survivor of drug addiction.
Yes.
And he is leading by example. And who are you to criticize him? You low life son of a bitch,
Oh yeah. Because I mean,
and they really believe it. They're like, he's a survivor.
And that's what, whenever I was reading this, I was just like, oh, he's so bold, he's so brave. He gets a sweetheart deal as he's, whenever he's done tax evasion.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like 1.4 billion. Million, sorry. Million.
Because
sorry.
he was keeping up to the big guy. Does that
Oh yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, okay, so
and of course, here they have to say the charges are both the gun and the tax cases stem from a period in Hunter Biden's life in which he struggled with drug and alcohol abuse before becoming sober in 2019.
Hey, he was fighting for you and me, right? He's fighting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if that's the case, because that would have been the time that he was working in Ukraine, that he was funneling money back. He was that means that he was transporting drugs, and that would be international drug charges. He's transporting women to be used in other countries. I mean, the amount of illegal crap that he was doing, that they're only going after tax evasion and a firearm charge. He's probably thanking his lucky stars.
There's a lot more there.
Yeah, there is a lot more.
So it's
Prosecutors
interesting
also
'cause
plan on
I have his-
introducing
I have his-
evidence
I have his
about.
phone number. I think it's still on there.
Yeah, Hunter's
No,
phone
I do.
number.
I do. I'm not kidding.
That would surprise me.
Yeah, maybe I'll show it to you. I'll tell you why. Hold on.
You're not calling
I'm just going,
Hunter.
is it still there? I just go into here and I go, Hunter. I got Bill Hunter. Okay, maybe I have to look up Biden.
Yeah. Yeah. What we'll do is we'll give him a call while we're on air. Just like give him a call. Say, so Hunter, how's it going? Did you?
Oh, it's gone.
Did you?
It used to be there. I of course
How
I
much trouble
bookmarked it.
did you get into?
Who wouldn't?
Yeah. How much are you actually thinking that you're in? I mean, you've already pled guilty to it. You'd just be like, who the hell is this?
Damn it! He's removed himself from the directory. That's so unfair.
That's so unfair.
I think I have to double check, but because I shared it with a lot of people too.
I imagine you did. Oh my God!
Well,
this guy's name is Deepa Bartha.
Thank God I had screenshots of it. No, because he went to Georgetown University as an undergraduate, and he went to Yale Law for his law degree, right?
Yeah.
It's really funny. I mean, you have the Clintons, Hillary and Bill. They both went to Georgetown School of Foreign Service, and then they both went to Yale Law as well. This whole thing, though, usually when you have pundits, legal pundits, and everything, or political candidates, it's usually you go to they either made it to Yale Law or Harvard Law, and it's usually held up as a sign of quality right there. And the only thing I can say is, say you're a client, say I had to not Morgan & Morgan. I had to shop around for a lawyer that understood, I don't know, things like national security law and stuff on the it's related to a warrant and Hillary. But there was a point where a good friend of mine, he had a initial ding on his security clearance, and this was being run on State Department, right? With State Department, unlike if you're military and for your clearances or your defense contractor, let's see, what I call is if you're a blue card ID, I guess in certain agencies, then you're like an officer. Then you're a contractor, you have a green card. But both those, you don't have an appeal.
That's funny.
You can appeal it.
A green card.
Not a green card, but you can have an appeal. But with State Department, if you can appeal to a board, and it's a big difference. But a lot of lawyers that you're shopping around for, they don't know. They just go, you get introduced. You can say, "Oh, this is a guy. He's a partner at the firm. He's a Yale graduate, and blah blah blah." You're being but then you realize, I told my friend, I said that he's a partner at the firm. You don't know if he can help you. He will charge probably $900 or maybe at a pro rata. I don't know. It depends on the firm. Every 8 minutes pro rata, $1,000 an hour. But then they're going to give it to an associate, and that's going to be charged maybe $600 an hour or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a question: do they know how to run these appeals? Because if they don't, they're learning on your dime. On top of that, the partner goes over, and it's what I call lick the sushi. He comes over because he has to justify himself. He goes, "What are you doing there, young Max Murrah?" Yeah, and licks it, and then he records. Okay, I reviewed it, and you get this hell of a bill. And so you had to. The person I found, she's it's a woman. She used to work, and I looked at her. I wasn't interested so much on her credentials. They weren't stellar. They were Towson College in Maryland. And then she worked for the DOD, Department of Defense. And she went to night school. So Georgetown Law, it used to be, they used to say the top 14 law schools were, I don't know why 14, but Georgetown was always number 14. And I think a few years ago, it dropped from the 14. Who cares? That's why I'm saying Georgetown Law, but she did she did night school, but her practice, she knows, her firm knows how to run these
Like,
appeals and everything. And she's just super serious. And
well, my
that that
wife's
was, yeah.
one of her friends that she went to college with.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think what she went to college for initially.
Mhm.
God, it was business. She got a business degree, so she was working in Buckhead, making probably about $200,000 a year,
Mhm.
and gets married.
Mhm.
Because she got married, I believe, while she was in college, she got married, and so finished up her degree, making a couple $100,000 a year, and it goes back, takes her LSAT, goes back, gets her law degree,
Mhm.
and starts working at one of the larger firms here in
Mhm.
Atlanta,
Mhm.
and then has two wonderful kids, and now she doesn't work anymore. She stopped working because one of them is he's got, what is it, the nonverbal
Mhm.
autism. So the
Mhm.
twins are, one's boy, one's a girl, and the boy has nonverbal autism where he
Mhm.
won't speak, and his words are
Mhm.
very limited, like his vocabulary is very limited.
Mhm. Mhm.
He's damn bright. So you've heard
Oh,
about all
this
this.
this was it. Okay, now I remember. This is how you can get screwed. It happened to General Flynn, right? He was a lieutenant general. Was he a lieutenant general? Michael Flynn.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, so remember, I think he was an Air Force general. I can't remember what general it was. The Air Force, and then he was
Was it
heading
Air
the.
Force or Navy?
Could have
Oh,
been Navy.
Flynn was. It might
No,
have been.
well, he would have
Because
been
he would have been
admiral
an
then if he was.
admiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Flynn went to um he was head of DIA too. I don't know if you knew that before his appointment by President Trump. And
Oh,
and it was really interesting because around the time he had a really, I think it got a lot of people's backs up because he wanted to significantly expand the human capability of DIA, because most people don't realize it, but they always look at agency and they're the administrative intelligence agency, but they're not the largest in terms of budget, and so
no.
DIA is a lot larger. But normally you think of them as SIGINT and everything else, but he wanted to significantly expand the human capabilities, which kind of got other agencies kind of their backs up and everything. They kind of
Right.
say, "F off, stick with." I don't know if that was a motivation for whatever. I remember the law firm that it was weird because I can't remember if he used Covington at the time, but the thing with Covington is, who's the partner there? Eric
No.
Holder. Great guy, right? Eric
Oh,
Holder.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Wonderful
and
guy.
I think the advice they gave him, I don't know the machinations that happen, but basically one of the things they do is when they sit you down, you're often not charged, but the statements that you make, even through your attorney, if they're considered untruthful, then you have charges of perjury. Then they lay it, I think, kind of, I'm oversimplifying it, but then they say, okay, listen, we're going to get you, we feel that you've been untruthful, we're going to charge you with perjury, um, and
Yeah.
then we're going to bring in your son. We're going to get your son. I mean,
So
it's just like, I'm going after your family, and so this is why
speaking of son,
Flynn signed. This is why he pled, and I just
yeah.
thought all the money and the power he had, he just got probably the absolutely wrong, biased
So
advice.
what do you think this issue going on with Son and her husband Hugh, I believe is the name. So
Yeah.
that were working in not only Cuomo's administration as a like senior advisor to them, and then
Her,
Hochul.
that woman, her kung fu is very good, because what do I mean? Well, there's a lot of good kung fu coming, like DEI. Oh yeah, she totally say, oh, what a great thing. Now we're going to focus, and that got some of the things done. Mikey Pompeo, he put an opinion piece in the New York Post. And I don't know if you brought it up. Maybe you brought it up the other day. The article in the New York Post with by Pompeo's. I think he's saying, "Hey, listen, we've been saying this a long time," and yeah, it's just it's a weird.
Well, because I talked about this. I talked about this. I think it was Monday. Dude, maybe it was Monday, Tuesday, whatever. I talked about that, and from what I understand, and I could be wrong on this, there was a lot of internet, Twitter, twatter, back and forth, because it looked like Tim Pool went after Kamala Harris. Like he's filing a lawsuit for defamation for using a clip of what he said out of context.
Yeah.
And not even 2 days later, Herbie comes out and this shit happens, because I was like, and then I heard what Dan Bongino had to say about this, and I'm gonna play that clip because it's very, very interesting. Just really quick.
But I'd be remiss as a former federal agent to not warn people that given these accusations, are other people, I'm not accusing anyone specifically, I want to be clear. Are people working with the feds right now to try to ensnare other conservative influencers into this alleged operation? I'm just going to say this. Be very careful who you're emailing, and be very careful who you're talking to, and be very careful that you're not talking to someone working with the feds on the other end of the line.
Because Tim Pool is working with the feds right now. And the reason he's working with the feds is because of the 10 net or something like that, T-net or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
It's supposedly part of this Russian disinformation thing.
Yeah,
And
they said it was a front company for Russia Today, RT.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's funny. I haven't heard from. I hope she's doing well. I did like Fair and Balanced, but
yeah,
Fair and Balanced actually was working for RT before it got closed down.
Wow.
She that was probably her first real.
Well, RT is still around.
International coverage. Yeah. Well, but the Washington bureau office, it was seen kind of like as the arm of the Russian government, and in any event,
wow,
and people have said it. They go, "Oh, she's a Russian." It'd be easy to say it, and I think it would be lazy, stupid, and inaccurate. But Fair and Balanced could had her issues on the internet and everything. But to say, "Oh, she's a Russian," I said, "Yeah."
No,
but that's what I would do if I were. Sometimes I think of like not what would Jesus do, but what would Xi Jinping do? What would Chinky Eye Joe, the real Chinky Eye Joe, do?
Yeah.
Oh, did you realize I got I had a tweet that was tongue in cheek, and it was what hate Twitter actually their automated AI said this tweet is being whatever, it's going to be limited viewing because of, and I said there's nothing in there. There was no, and I pointed it out, and I pointed out Chinky Eye Joe is my totally non-racist handle,
Yeah.
And I did make a comment. I said I made a joke not directed at Connie Chung, but at Connie Chung's expense. I said something to the effect of, it's not like I'm calling her Connie Tink, but I think that's, anyways, it got rescinded. It got removed, so it's okay. Oh, that's also really bad. You can't do that for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, this is fine. I don't know why they call it.
You have to understand. I use this because
this could be kind of like a little bit,
I use this because as a diver, you have to let them know that you're okay. The same way as whenever you jump in the first thing that you do after you jump in the water is you turn around, you look back at the captain, and you let them know that you're okay.
Yeah.
That you're there and seen. You have to use hand signals because whenever you're 30, 60 meters or 100 feet, whatever, 60 feet, whatever, underwater, how in the hell else are you going to say that you've run out of oxygen or
Oh,
air?
yeah.
Not oxygen, but air. How are you going to let them know that you ran out of air? How are you going to let them know that you've got a problem if you don't use hand signals? You're going to
But yeah,
panic and well, that's something completely different.
yeah, you know, they'll have to we modify. They modify. Speech is modified. And people, this is what makes me. I mean, I had a small YouTube video I put out. It was about a self deletion, and for that reason, it was also age restricted. And I kind of thought, well, so we're naturally, if you're on YouTube, you don't use the S word, you say self deletion or something like that.
Yeah.
And I get it, but you've won this. If you want to control people's behavior and their beliefs and the way they communicate, then you force them. This is the way that you think, well, it's not a big deal. But and because why is it not a big deal? Oh, because I just automatically do it now. You automatically in your speech when you're not on YouTube or other social media, you probably catch yourself not using the word, and you're going, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. Oh no,
So
there's quite a bit of that, because whenever you're sitting there, you don't want to say this because it's going to piss off the YouTube algorithm or that kind of stuff. And it's weird because people are just like, I don't understand what words you're saying.
But now, well, actually, now a lot of people are doing it automatically, and I'm thinking, oh, they've won. This is back in 1987. You had a guy named Bernard Shapiro. He's Canadian. He's an orphan. He had a twin brother named Bernard Shapiro. Bernard Shapiro, back in the 80s and 90s, was the president of Princeton University. You may have heard of that. It's one of the Ivy Leagues. And Bernard Shapiro remained in Canada, and he was the head of a long time ago. He was the head of the teachers college, so educational psychology, and extremely. Back then, he had a socialist agenda, and so actually, Max Murrah's father worked for him and is a loyal comrade, very loyal. And then I tracked the guy's retired now, but he later became the head of education in the largest state in Canada, Ontario. And then he was the first national commissioner of ethics. And you're going, okay, who cares? But I'm looking in some point, I believe this is coincidentally the time that that Canadian guy, he used to teach at Harvard, Jordan Peterson, and then he moved back to Canada, and then he was at University of Toronto, and
that's whenever he got all that backlash.
Yeah, because the Canadian government was putting in a bill called C for Canada. It would be a federal bill, and it would regulate your speech. But at that time, also, I think they were going from the province to the university, so they're affecting him as a professor. That if, for example, if somebody says, I self-identify me, if you look at my pronouns on Twitter, I put them out there on Chinky I Joe. They're Tenno, which is emperor, and Chinko, which is a euphemism for your private part. So I'm emperor. Anyway, so according to the law, if I say this is, I'm not Max Murrah, I'm Tenno Chinko. And if Professor Jordan Peterson said, that's ridiculous, I'm going to call you Max or Murrah or whatever, but I'm not going to call it. Then I would say, whoa, and I could get him fired. And anyways, that's when kind of Jordan Peterson, before he got his in public as this kind of the politics of Jordan Peterson, that pushed him, because he said, kind of twisted sister, like, I'm not going to take this, so he grew up in, when I first saw him, though, it was when he was a professor. He's teaching Jungian, Carl Jung, things like that at Harvard. And I remember I was looking at these videotapes, and there was a guy in cowboy boots, and he had this accent, and I was trying to place the bloody accent. And I if you go back to those things, and nobody tells you anything, I thought, well, he's teaching at an American university, and he's wearing cowboy boots. So I thought, He was like, it
Well,
was like North
yeah.
Dakota or something, you know? I was close because the accents for these Canadian, 95% of Canada lives on the border with the United States of America, on the mainland, of course. And
Mhm.
so you're going to have more north-south similarities. So he grew up in northern Alberta, just north of outside of Edmonton, a small town. And then I realized
Ah,
that's where his accent's from. That's why he speaks the way he speaks. He's not from the US, but he's not like from Eastern Canada. And so he
yeah,
he did
sort
it
of like Camelo. Sort of like Camel Toe.
oh gosh. Yeah, he
'Cause,
doesn't
I mean,
he doesn't
well,
pander with his accent. He doesn't switch to a he doesn't switch.
no,
You know,
no, but
he
no.
went to
If you ever listen to her the way
uh-huh,
a lot of her speech patterns,
uh-huh.
because she was raised in Canada.
Oh yeah, Montreal.
She was yeah.
That's where, you know, the funny thing was her so she Peterson did his undergraduate, I guess, in psychology, but he did his PhD at McGill University. And I'm not exactly sure, but at the time he was at McGill University, which is in Montreal in Quebec, um, I think this Bernie Shapiro was the president of McGill University. Now, here's the quote I found from Bernie Shapiro in 1987. And this is a long, they're way forward thinking. They love what they've created right now. And he said, you see, the way you get you want people to change. He goes, you single out 3 or 4, he called them recalcitrants. You single them out. And he said something about using a stick, you know, just to beat them into submission. And you make it very public, and then everyone else will fall into line. There's a quote, a precise quote I
Yes.
got, 1987 Toronto Star. And when I read this years later, I went, these guys knew what they were doing. Maybe they didn't.
No, they do.
They
They're very
believed.
well aware.
So and so this was way before people would recognize it. You know, they
I want to
were.
grab some more coffee, Max. Can you entertain them for a minute?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Be
Sure.
right back.
So they were all kind of versed in all the neo-Marxist stuff that you hear nowadays. You know, I have people say, "Oh, did you realize that the critical what is it? Not critical mass theory, whatever. Well, from the Frankfurt School, you know, the neo-Marxist school." And I said, "Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot going on with one of the so-called Chicago circles, and there are also a lot of trips. This is interesting. Going to Ann Arbor, Michigan. What's over there? Well, that's University of Michigan. So if you talk about young, revolutionary-minded people, but so they appear socially conservative, where do those academics go? They go to they were having meetings in Ann Arbor. And if you really go back in history, where's the birthplace of Weather Underground? You know, that's not a group. That's Velvet Underground, Lou Reed. Weather Underground, it's one of these domestic terrorist organizations. Yeah, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so some of that really clicked in. That aha. So you had a lot of these, and this is way before. This is from the 70s and the 80s and to the 90s. So before people started questioning what's going on with our schools, why are they not giving first and second and third place in sports festivals? Why is everyone getting, you know, why is everybody winning? You know,
Oh yeah.
it's because I can explain it to you. I would be told, listen, as a kid, like many kids, you play pee-wee soccer, pee-wee, right? But when it came down to doing competitive sports, you were dissuaded from it. Why? Well, Max, if you do competitive sports, that produces winners and losers, and that's not healthy. That's not good.
Well, of course it's not good.
And so,
but see, this has been going on.
Sports, yeah.
Well, and this has been going on for quite some time, and I mean this is why, for example, January 6th was so important for the left, and why they keep hounding and talking about this is because if you can take a group of people, you don't even have to take all of them, and you throw them in prison for 4 years, You go and round them up. We're talking about grandma or just somebody that was walking the grounds. You bring them in and you throw them in jail. You seclude them from everyone. What happens? Anybody that wants to disagree with their government automatically says, well, if I say anything about my government, if I say anything on YouTube about my government, if I say anything online, if I go anywhere, if I touch anything, if I speak out, if I buy a firearm, all of a sudden they're going to accuse me and wrap me in with these people. If I put an American flag out on my front porch, they're coming after me.
Yeah, so
and
you
they
have
did
to
the same thing. They did the same thing with the masks. It's like, well, if you're not wearing a mask and you're looking to kill grandma and grandpa, and all you have to do is arrest a few people that are out in the park enjoying a beautiful day, not near anybody, and they're not wearing a mask. Oh my God, let's arrest them. Because then you've got them under control, and it's no different than what they're currently doing with all of this Russian disinformation bullshit.
So look at this. People who are making, I don't know, they're making several $100,000, if not millions of dollars. They can afford a lawyer, but it's kind of like going what Andrew Branca. I don't know if he says this, but because Andrew Branca talks about the law of self-defense. But it's often told when you take one of these basic courses or concealed carry courses, they'll say, something like, okay, this firearm will cost you, I don't know, $500 or whatever.
Right.
This piece of ammo will cost you, I don't know, 50 cents, but you shoot it in lawful self-defense. Say, it's just like to anyone, it's obvious. It's going to cost you, I don't know now, but a minimum of $15,000 US or $20,000 US for a competent attorney. And people say, oh no, okay. And look, this is why, if the insurance policy works, because there's a lot of insurance policies that people buy and they tend not. I would say, so that's a really expensive proposition. It's not, it's really expensive. Now, if you have all those resources, and a lot of people, like, look, you get charged with anything. And say your bond is what, 20, 50, even the case with Nicker there, he had, he and his wife, $50,000 each. Did he have $100,000 to go in there and pay that? But no, he went to a bond company, servicing company. He paid 10%. He gives up 10%, he gives up 10%. So I can understand, you could have 75K, you could have 100K, you could have, a lot of Americans, many Americans don't, most Americans don't. So even if you have that cash in your account, you realize you're going to need it for other things. So yeah, you're going to go for that option and give up your 10%.
Yeah.
This is, and now what are you going to do if, with lawful self-defense? Now you're looking at, maybe you're running a small YouTube channel and you realize, oh, I could get, someone said, maybe you should keep your mouth shut, because next time, and I do know how much it costs. I got ripped on, I basically got zero advice on it. But at the end of the day, and that's another thing that happens. You panic. You don't know where to go to. And so you pay that retainer, and it's a lot. This is why I'm really happy. At least I could help my friend. He wasn't being charged, but he was getting a denial on his security clearance. And I knew that all the well-intentioned advice, this law firm, this lawyer, these lawyers will help you. And I thought, I know the intention is good, but they have not been screwed on the advice. So I knew.
Well, and there's certain parts of that work. I mean, like here's the thing: being a certified diver, all right. Mm-hmm. There's a type of insurance that I can get, and it's not like this really expensive thing. You pay once a year. Both my wife and I got it, which is members of Divers Aware Network or Divers Alert Network. Regardless of what it's called. So what it is you have a particular dive card that you show, and you pay this every year. And what happens is if something happens while you're diving, for example, there's an issue and you have to surface really quick, which can cause, air
Vents.
bubbles in the lungs.
Yeah.
That network will provide like an airlift to get you to a hospital, get you in a chamber, all that kind of crap, which can be very expensive.
Yeah,
So
it's the nitrogen. Yeah.
yeah,
Have you had to go in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber?
no, never.
Okay, I did. Not as a diver. I had an injury, and part of the treatment, it was not as a severe hyperbaric oxygen chamber because it's used for a lot of other things, like if you have injuries or you have wounds, and but you need to have it at the two things that govern the effectiveness of hyperbaric oxygen chambers are air pressure. You have to have sufficient pressure and, of course, concentration of oxygen.
Yes.
And the ones you get for divers, they're serious ones, right?
Yeah, they are.
If you use it for other purposes, you can put pressure on the retinal nerve here, and you can have temporary blindness. So that's why you have to get it under a doctor's supervision. But here's the thing: is I think if you go back in your memory file, you remember Michael Jackson. All the crazy things he did.
Yeah.
He had at home a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. But what I'm not sure about is, so
If he was in it alone.
No. But what because they have the mono the coffin like ones, but I've also at hospitals they have large. It looks like a big one of those diving chambers, and you can go into this big room, and those are serious ones. The coffins, if you're a big guy, you could get kind of claustrophobic. But fortunately, I'm smaller. But a lot of the ones you can get where it's a beauty salon or it's a gym, they do not give you enough ATM, enough pressure. So they're basically you're just going to get some air, and it's not really going to do much. So
yeah, you guys make sure to sub up to Max Murrah there. Show him some love. Show the man some love.
Very, very stupid. Yeah, I know.
So yeah, here's this crap again. Oh, thank you, Toy. I appreciate it. She is a spy toy now. Be fun and hit that like button. Fun.
Oh, spy toy. My friend is in Japanese, but he speaks English fine. He's a Japanese guy. He's a Yamada Toshihiro. He used to be the Forbes Japan, one of their editors, but now he focuses entirely on national security and cybersecurity. And he did a Fulbright scholarship, and he was a fellow at MIT in Boston. And he's a friend of mine. So we've been talking, and it's called Spy Channel. So he's focused on, well, we're talking about, he actually, maybe I tweeted to him, but he often brings up articles that and makes me aware, stateside articles, and like the Pompeo opinion piece on Chinese activities, including Sun and everything else. But he's a good guy. He's I think Japan. Okay, America has this. Oh, what is this?
I think Merrick Garland is salty because he was passed over for becoming a Supreme Court judge.
Mm-hmm.
Like they declined to make this guy a Supreme Court judge.
Yeah.
Threats task force to respond to a dangerous increase in violent threats against the public servants who administer our elections. We did.
Oh, this is such garbage.
Americans were enduring terrible threats simply for doing their civic duty. And we did so because
Name one.
To election workers constitute threats.
Oh, those heroic people who found those ballots and suddenly at the last minute pour them into the count,
Its continuing work in advance of the upcoming election. But before we begin, I want to address the tragic shooting that occurred this morning at a high school in Windsor.
Yeah, we know about that.
Actions that the Justice Department is taking that are separate from the important work of this task force, but are part of our broader effort to protect our elections from unlawful interference of any kind.
Here it comes again.
First, this morning we unsealed an indictment in the Southern District of New York of Konstantin Kalashnikov and Elena Afanasieva, two Russian-based employees of RT, a Russian state-controlled media.
Oh, your sound isn't on, I guess, to the channel. I can hear it, but
yeah, I can hear it. No, they can hear. They should be able to hear it too.
No, but in the comments they say they can't.
Money laundering.
I just turned it up.
That law, enacted nearly a century ago, enacted to ensure that the American people were informed when a foreign power engages in political activities or seeks to influence public discourse. The American people are entitled to know when a foreign power is attempting to exploit our country's free exchange.
Just like it did in 2016 and 2020.
Propaganda. The company never disclosed to the, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
And that is what we alleged happened in this case. In the wake of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, RT, which was then known as Russia Today, was dropped by its American distributors. The company ceased its formal operations in the United States, and the European Union, the UK, and Canada banned RT's broadcasting. But as RT itself has boasted, the government of Russia continued to use RT to direct disinformation and propaganda. In the wake of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine, RT's editor-in-chief said the company had built, quote, an entire empire of covert projects designed to shape public opinion in Western audiences. We allege that as part of that effort, RT and its employees, including the defendants, implemented a nearly $10 million scheme to fund and direct a Tennessee-based company to publish and disseminate content deemed favorable to the Russian government.
And whenever they started talking about all this crap, I have to point out how much the AP has, and we're talking about the Associated Press, writes absolute bullshit propaganda. Absolute bullshit propaganda. So who are they getting their funding from?
Kalishnikov. Yeah. He passed away 11 years ago. Mikhail. Yeah. He was like 93, 94 years old. But okay, so did he mention FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act? So one of the things is it's funny. This is how I describe FARA. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's a felony if you fail to register. So it's actually if you represent a foreign interest. Now, it doesn't. I think if you go through FARA prosecutions, they tend to be, especially now, selectively prosecuted, against political opponents. Because look, there's even guys who've done good but questionable. Richard Armitage, it's not reported, but I looked at the public records. Until President Trump won in 2016, he was being paid through different vehicles in the United States by the Japanese government, about $270,000 to $450,000 US a year, not directly, because there were these offices. They would be like at the same suite in Clarendon Avenue in Arlington, Virginia. And he did not register under FARA, that he was basically shilling, in this case, they're an ally, but Japanese policy. He
should have had a lot to say about that, because there's some
and look at the Hunter Biden. I don't know if he absolutely, on behalf of foreign interests, whether they're corporate or governmental or agencies, he's done that. China, Ukraine, did he register? It's funny because, again, it costs you. It's even easier these days. Like, I have a friend, he's maybe over 70 now. What did he do? He went to Notre Dame undergraduate, but I think he did his doctorate in Japanese political economy. I think it was University of Washington. James Foster. He's a Democrat.
James Foster.
Jim Foster. So he finished a pretty good career as a Foreign Service officer at the State Department, and then he was the head of governmental relations at Microsoft. And then he's comfortably
hold on just
retired.
a second, Max.
Yeah.
AMG.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. Wow. Hey Zach, how are you?
No, I had to bring MG on here because
Hey, So Jim Foster, when he got his first job, it was for they were also Democratic controlled, privately held. One of the largest PR companies based in Chicago is called Edelman. The Edelman brothers are big Democrats, of course. But he got his first job right out of grad school, a PhD. And what happened was he sat down with Edelman with an interview, and he spoke fluent Japanese, and he had the PhD and everything. And he explained to Edelman, so you represent the Japanese Electronic Manufacturers Association. They were like freaked out. How did you know that? And well, in those days, he went down to the it was one of the libraries in Washington D.C. or wherever, and the FARA agents, they're all registered in a book. They were not online, and so he just looked up who were those agencies and firms that were registered under FARA, and so he kind of like, he explained, well, you're in the book. But it was weird because they forgot about these things. And this is nowadays, I mean, it's really bloody easy. You can look this up. You should look this up. But I always kind of said, well, this guy, when people are looking for jobs and stuff like that, you got to know how to do your research, especially if you want to be in that space. Back in the 1990s.
Well, and what do you think? Yeah. What do you think that these people like Tim Pool and Lauren Southern? Now I had issues with these folks in the first place before all of this stuff came out, because I'm just like, they're just they are all that these people are is riding the wave of what happens to be the next popular thing. Do I think that they're like their takes on things are like coming from a weird place? Like, how's the best description? Like, you see someone that comes out and they say, well, I voted Democrat for all these years, and now I've become, conservative because it's the next wave. Well, and you see this quite often.
There's that 2016 book, From Democrat to Deplorable, by one John Goldman, aka Jack Murphy. And I think it was in his case, it was really clear he was a fake and this was a fiction. In his heart of hearts, he was not just a leftist, but he was also he was a cuck and a deviant and everything else,
Yeah. I mean, that became very clear. That
and conversely, and I can't remember 2018 or 2018, the book by J.D. Vance. People are expecting, hillbilly elegy. Oh, you better. They're hoping that it's going to be fake. Like No, I think he's consistent. I think he's honest, and I think it. Yeah. And so I don't. I'm thinking, you may not be the biggest fan there, but he's. I don't think. I think he's a good, unique, interesting person. And his book, I think they hate the fact, people who hate Trump and are looking to hate J.D. Vance were hoping, they wouldn't say it because it's not in their vocab, but they would hope that there was a similar level of hypocrisy that Jack Murphy expressed,
Well, it's because they're the hypocrites, so they're looking for something to project onto everybody else.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and this thing right here with Garland. I wanted to play through because this right
I don't
here,
trust anything this subject says.
Yeah,
I don't trust
I think this is very important, especially because we talked about this all last year, that they've got this idea that Russian disinformation, and it comes up every single time, and they're going to say, oh well, they're affecting the elections, and then the election ends and they don't find anything. Like, what happened?
If there's going to be any influence by Russia on the elections, it's going to be in favor of Democrats.
Yes.
There are
the Democrats have always loved Russia and the Soviets and the communists, and all of a sudden now they're the boogeyman. It's like, no, you guys love Russia, and the Russians love you.
Yes, they do.
So if there's going to be any influence, it's going to be in favor of Democrats.
Yeah.
Company to contract with US-based social media influencers to share this content on their platforms.
Well, and that's the other thing is because whenever he's talking about this, he's saying influencers because they already went after Facebook, they already went after Twitter, and Twitter and Facebook are just like, yeah, we don't have anything to do with this crap.
Well, and the creators they're not naming. I've already said nobody told us what to cover at all. We can cover whatever the hell we want. So I mean, this is all bullshit. It is all bullshit. This guy is so damn salty about it, and you can see how blessed we are that he is not on the Supreme Court, because it would be an absolute atrocity if he was.
Yeah,
hey, the guy he has no idea what he's doing. It's awful.
You know, I know it's a piece of totally trite trivia, but you know that fellow that is suing Nicker? I think that he actually called. I think it was this guy, Garland, that he called on the home phone.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I mean, that makes me laugh. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Guess who was at the FBI and overseeing the Oklahoma City bombing investigation?
Oh,
right here. Yep.
Guess who was in the government within the Department of Justice who was overseeing Oklahoma City? This son of a bitch.
Wow.
Yes,
he did a horrible investigation, because there were more than just Nichols and McVeigh involved. There were foreign agents involved.
Yep.
Publish and disseminate content deemed favorable to the Russian government. To implement this scheme, the defendants directed the company to contract with US-based social media influencers to share this content on their platforms. The subject matter and content of many of the videos published by the company were often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying US domestic divisions in order to weaken US opposition to core Russian interests, particularly its ongoing war in Ukraine.
No, that right there would be absolute bullshit. You know, because this right here, if the AP is telling you that they're sending long-range missiles into Ukraine and Ukraine is begging to fire them onto Russia, that is the AP that's saying. Are you telling me that AP is a Russian disinformation? Are you telling me that whenever AP says that Ukraine just went in and invaded Russia, that's Russian disinformation, and that AP fails to report anything whenever Russia slaps back? Are you telling me that's Russian disinformation, or is that the truth? Because this guy is so full of shit that it's coming out of his ears and oozing onto Nancy Pelosi's backside.
The company never disclosed to the influencers or to their millions of followers its ties to RT.
I don't have to.
Russian government.
And what about the BBC and the AP and New York Times and all of these media corporations that are owned by foreign entities and have foreign investors in stockholders?
Yes. They're influenced by Chinese government. Whenever they won't report on the Chinese virus,
what about
whenever they won't
Biden family influenced by the Chinese? They're owned by the damn Chinese government.
Exactly. Oh, and this by the way, this is no Russian disinformation. No, I would be loving to get a freaking paycheck like that. Good Lord, they don't pay me enough for this shit. Oh, geez. I take that back. I wouldn't want to be getting influenced by anybody or getting paid by anybody to do this.
Claimed that the company was sponsored by a private investor. But that
Claimed.
private investor was a fictitious persona.
Facts, not in evidence.
This morning do not represent the end of the investigation. It remains active and ongoing.
Like the Steele dossier, huh?
Action, the Justice Department is seizing 32 internet domains that the Russian government and the Russian-sponsored actors have used to engage in a covert campaign to interfere and influence the outcome of our country's elections.
And here's the thing: you cannot seize internet domains. Okay. And the reason I say that you can take down a website But if they've already purchased those through Eris, there's nothing they can do.
Oh,
All they can do is block it. All they can do is put a block on those addresses.
Bernadette
He'll be
Blanca.
back. He'll be back.
Okay.
He went through a
Look,
bad cell.
I put a shout out for these. It's called. There's a guy named the Real VOR, Voice of Reason. He's a former U.S. Army tank commander, and he works in, I guess, private sector. But he has a really good channel called Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I watch it.
Yeah.
It's under 70K subs. But I'm thinking statements and actions like this probably then it makes it. I mean, YouTube's waiting for this to go. Oh yes, well we want to help you. Help comply, and channels like his will probably might be silenced. He couldn't give an ass, but yeah,
because the way that an address block works is you have that address block and you can purchase that address block, and there's people that are not allowed to own those address blocks. Like for example, you can't own certain IP address because it would interfere with like the Department of Justice, and you're basically on the same network as they are. These things are highly regulated. Like you could whenever you buy one of these blocks, you're talking in the millions of dollars, and there's nothing you can do to shut those things down. And you basically rent those by year, 6 months, or quarters, or you buy it by the year, and then you can rent out those blocks to whoever you want to. On top of that, you can just, you buy a block, like say, for example, Comcast owns a block of a large block. If you've got AT&T that owns a large block, you've got whatever your big media company is there that Max Murrah is in that foreign agency in Japan, those crazy pinky-eyed Joe followers over there. So they have a block that they rent those smaller blocks out to other companies. And I guarantee you that whatever the Russia Today or whatever, they had a small block or still have a small block.
You can find under my real name, so I'll dox myself. But so in the whole universe of Russia Today Productions, they came to Japan and to do it was a pretty trite light piece on organized crime in Japan, and so I helped them out. They had a fixer, and so I said, well, you should talk to this guy, you can talk to this guy and everything. And I didn't expect it, but they put Bob Whiting, my friend Bob, the author, and my name's on there. But I'm just laughing now because someone said you cooperated or you worked for, I did not, for RT. You're a Russian agent. And how would I describe it to really say Max Murrah not only was involved with RT, but it had to do with organized crime.
Oh,
yeah.
All true, but it's how you say it. Yeah, it's BS.
Yeah, it is.
So this guy's nothing more. He's a political hack. And
yes.
You can't trust anything that comes out of his mouth.
Well, no, that's why
I'm not worried about being doxxed. I've been doxxed before. I've doxxed myself. It's kind of funny because some guy was looking for me, and I thought, if you do find stuff, that was a time when there was all that Q stuff going on and nuclear and everything, and so
and
then my name popped up. I go, hey, this is cool, man. Yeah. Like if you're really so. Because normally you think if you can dox somebody, you can. Now I got you. I got your Achilles heel, and I'm gonna slice it. It actually goes. This is a weird SOB, and
just not cross it.
Yeah, you sure you want me in your crosshairs?
No.
Love it.
But it's funny.
Filings, President
Vladimir
Inner Circle, including Sergei Kirennikov, directed Russian public relations companies to promote disinformation and state-sponsored narratives as part of a program.
So prove that what they reported was factually wrong.
An
Yes.
internal planning document created by the Kremlin.
And not
states
just
the role of the
your political opinion that it's wrong.
Yeah, because that's all it is a political opinion saying, "Oh, you're wrong. They're spreading
Yeah, that's all
disinformation."
this
Well,
indictment is a damn story.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yep.
It's not even.
that's all it is.
It's all.
And
It's all. I mean, it's allegations, obviously, but
Yeah.
still, it's
This
nothing
will
but a
go,
political act.
and this
It's
will
all
go away in
arguments.
November. This will go away in November, like right after the election. It'll go away, unless of course Trump wins. If Trump wins, then they have the narrative built already for the next 4 years that he was elected
they
because
were
of.
never going to sit back and let him win one or win without actually trying to engage in insurrection, because they did it in 2016. They tried to burn cities down after the election.
But that would be Russian disinformation, don't you know?
On our TVs is Russian disinformation, because that was from
all
the
of it.
mainstream media showing Washington D.C. in flames.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, am I
Shit
going to
being
get in
destroyed.
trouble? You know, I've
gonna-
used background music on one or two of my videos, and somebody said, "Oh, you played the Russian national anthem." You know, actually, I kind of did, but I did a mashup. It's actually with Pachelbel's Canon in D minor. It's the same. I don't know. I'm not a musician, but the same sort of note. But
it's
here's the
same way
thing. I corrected them. It's kind of a joke. I said it's not the Russian national anthem. It's the Soviet one. And here's the thing. The Soviet anthem and the Russian anthem, the melody has remained the same. Only the lyrics have changed. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
but it's look, everyone else, Germans had to change their national anthem obviously after the war. You know who absolutely did not change the melody or the words to their national anthem before the war? Japan. Japan never did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kimigayo. They've never changed it.
Oh, what was that?
Canada.
I'm sorry.
Canada's changed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving them a hard time.
Public relations company known as the Social Design Agency, or SDA, and related actors included what are sometimes referred to as cyber squatted domains. These websites were designed to appear to American readers as if they were major U.S. news sites like the Washington Post or Fox News.
Like the AP.
But in fact,
AP.
New York Times.
they were filled with
New York Times.
propaganda,
Like any of our mainstream media.
Kremlin to reduce
Yep.
international support for Ukraine, bolster pro-Russian policies and interests, and influence voters in the United States and in other countries. Internal documents of the Kremlin describe the content as, quote, bogus stories disguised as newsworthy events, close quote.
Is that sort of like the ghost of Kiev or whatever the hell they say? Like that was talked about, how many Russian fighters that this one pilot shot down. Is it the same misinformation that with the war that's happening in the Middle East that's been going on since long before I've been around? The same issues that they had in '72 are rearing their head up again with a guy that went into what was that? Was it Berlin or Belarus? Something crap like that. Went on the anniversary, which was yesterday or the day before yesterday, where in the Olympics, the Israeli team was shot up in '72, and the guy on that anniversary decided to go with a firearm, and of course they deleted him pretty quickly. The same disinformation. I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, is this is it that we're maybe not getting the whole story? Like, you're telling us part of the news. Like, let's see, the AP took out of context what JD Vance said just yesterday, and they took it out of complete context. Then Camel Toe turned around and put something out with, JD Vance said this, and then of course the AP finally retracts it, but the damage is already done.
Well, the damage is done. It's already gone around the world 4 or 5 times before they ever correct it.
Exactly.
I think this is what I think is if there isn't identifiable blowback to what they're doing right now, if people say like, "Hey, what can you do?" and that will embolden them. They'll say, "This is the right strategy. This is how we can get back at Trump." But if on the other hand, if this is enough,
there's not going to be any blowback. The mainstream media is not going to say anything because
that's
they don't
too
want
bad.
the competition.
Yeah.
So
No.
there's not going to be any blowback
No.
Then that's too bad because
unless it's Kamala and and Willie Brown.
Because if I'm them, once if they're checking and monitoring, they're saying how's it going, they're going to double down. They're going to triple down on this before November 5th. Absolutely. That's what I would do if I were.
Well, yeah, I mean they're weaponizing everything for political purposes.
Yeah.
That's
So rather
how they
than
operate.
saying, "Oh, this is terrible," and they've done this, and I hope it doesn't work, I'm saying, no. If you don't see that blowback, and you're pretty sure now, what can you do?
Well,
and
silence your enemies.
Just one. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to play this, is because, as much as you sit there and you go, why, this guy's lying, he's full of shit. You need to know the attack that's coming at you. You need to face this shit head on, because if you know what's coming at you, you know how to respond to it, and it doesn't come as a surprise. One of the things about this is everyone will say, well, why are you giving him any sort of win? Because you need to know the attacks that are going to be coming at you. If you cover anything political, if you discuss anything that could be deemed as somewhat political, these are the kinds of people that are coming after you. But people like Kirby that's sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, there was this shooting and blah 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 blah." And then, by the way, we've got an indictment out on all these people, and this is like, okay, so where is this coming from? Where is this supposed Russian disinformation coming from? And you can look, and RT is still around. You can pull up their website. You can link to it. You can watch all of the news stories that they have on there. It's not like
if it was that bad,
away.
they just shut them down. If it was that bad,
exactly.
So you can tell that it's all bullshit.
Has been referred to as doppelganger.
Oh, really?
The Russian public relations company drove viewers to these websites by deploying influencers and paid social media advertisements. They
Sure.
also created
That's what
fake
they do in
social
the
media
U.S.
profiles, posing as U.S. citizens.
And and the same thing that I saw with Camel Toe Harris's DNC, all of the little speeches that she did, all of the little events that she's gone to, where everybody's saying these pictures are AI generated. All right, that's not Russian propaganda, because
those people
and then
that
everybody,
are there, a lot of times are being bussed in and paid to be there from out of state.
Exactly.
Hey, I found the quote by Bernard Shapiro. It kind of got in the chat. It kind of got weird, but basically he said in 1987, he said, "My own sense is that the time to have a mandatory policy, the time to wield the stick, is when you have 3 or 4 recalcitrants out there that you want to whip into shape. And specifically, resocialization takes time. The point is to produce the result, not to produce a symbol of the result. The easiest thing to do is to make a policy mandatory and to announce that the problem has been solved." It's amazing this SOB said it in 1987.
Yeah.
Well, you had that one dude, and I don't remember his name, the Soviet guy, who just told us exactly how the communists were going to infiltrate and influence our society, American society, and bring it down, and all the steps they were going to take within education and government and media. He said this is what's going to happen, and it's exactly what's happened. It's been 50 years ago, but I can't remember who it was.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah, that Yuri dude. Yeah,
Yuri Bezmenov. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen. It'd be kind of ridiculous, but what if they brought in the child hero from the early 1900s, Pavel Morozov? He is a young boy who he turned in his parents or his uncle for saying bad things, and so I think his
Oh,
family
they'll get
was
to that.
executed. But what happened?
They'll-
Well,
they'll have
they're
Deckers,
working on that right
journal
now.
papers.
His own family.
They're
then
working on
killed the
that right
boy.
now. See,
Became a martyr.
they've
They did it with COVID.
enlisted. Well, no, well they were doing it before COVID, because what they've done is they've set it up where whenever you're taking your child in to go see a doctor, just a regular checkup, they'll start asking about the parents. Are the parents drinking? Do they have any firearms in the house? And those doctors are in turn reporting that to the federal government, so they know where firearms, and turning parents in for these kinds of things, and unbeknownst to them, that these kids are telling exactly the parents' political beliefs, every single thing about them. If you think they go for the kids, there's something about these creeps that they just love going after kids. It's something weird about it.
Platforms with
Brains of mush.
According to SDA's records, it actively sought to, quote, eliminate the possibility of detection of the Russian footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the schemes I've just discussed make clear the ends to which the Russian
bullshit.
government, including at its highest levels, is willing to go to undermine our democratic process.
Well, we're not a democracy, so
right.
Also make clear that the Justice Department will aggressively counter such efforts. And the same is true of the entire United States government. Today, our colleagues at the State and Treasury Departments are announcing parallel actions in both of these matters. Unfortunately, we know that Russia is not the only foreign power seeking to interfere in our elections. As the U.S. intelligence community noted 2 weeks ago, we have observed increasingly aggressive.
Your boss is owned by the Chinese.
Yeah.
That includes recently reported activities by Iran to compromise former President Trump's campaign and to avoid an election outcome that it regards as against its interests.
And then also the AP reported that either the Iranian government not only went after Donald Trump, but also after Camel Toe Harris. That's what the AP reported just yesterday morning. Yeah. That was the first thing that they reported. And my question was, if they're able to hack Camel Toe's email, which I think is bullshit, either one of these things is true. Either they were able to hack her email, and that means that she is completely compromised, or the AP is lying and they just went after Trump's campaign. Because both of them can't be true.
More likely true with the AP.
That is the AP. You can't trust the damn
They're the
word
propaganda wing of the Democrat Party.
Yes.
No,
and all the stuff that gets
wing of the Democrat Party. They have been for decades.
Yeah. Yeah, and anything that the AP reports is picked up by NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News. Every single news outlet picks up their information.
They'll use the same language, the same phrases, identical phrases.
You know what I'm waiting to see? I don't know if it's already happened, but typically what's happened with China is that you're going to get there's a long established from the 60s. These they are pro CCP interest, but they'll have like Asian American, and they're going to dig up they've done this consistently, saying this is a racism and we are good Americans, and this is bullshit. Like and they'll bring up, oh, this is like with the Japanese Americans, the internment. And here's the funny thing, because I know this with my family, during World War II, you had enough intel that there were enough Japanese Americans on the West Coast that were cooperating with the Imperial Japanese government. And you're going, well, really? Yeah, no.
Yes.
And the interesting thing, in 2009, there was Smithsonian. They had these old records. Just before the war, FBI or whoever, they broke into the Consulate General in Los Angeles, and they reported that. They said the way they reported it was there was a list of 4,000 to 5,000 Japanese Americans in living on the mainland who could not be trusted. And there were, what is reported as is, see, Japanese Americans were largely loyal. No, and I said, no. how many Japanese Americans were in the mainland? Maybe 60,000, maybe more. And so this list was the list of ones who couldn't be trusted. Most of them were cooperating. Absolutely. And so you get the same piece. And remember, right after the Pearl Harbor attack, you had one of the pilots crash landed on Niihau Island. There was no radio contact. An American-born of Japanese descent and his wife tried to kill the other islanders to save the pilot. And so that was the fear of the Secretary of the Navy, to evacuate Japanese Americans. So when they said there was no reason for it, there's another thing that nobody talks about, and I've gotten angry. But at one of the camps in Tule Lake, there was a bunch of Japanese Americans that nobody talks about to this day. They had tattoos. They didn't use the name Yakuza or organized crime members. But, in the 1930s, the Japanese diaspora, they controlled the heroin trade like the Colombians did cocaine in the 80s.
Okay.
And so these guys were scary, they were criminals, and they were loyal to Emperor Hirohito. Yet, you have to really look hard to find any evidence that they even existed. But they absolutely were. And so you get the Niihau incident, you can look it up, where it wasn't a Japanese immigrant. It was an American-born Japanese American, and he spoke Japanese. When the pilot crash landed and said, we just attacked Pearl Harbor. So no one on the island knew this. And so they didn't know what to do. And what he ended up doing was stabbing and shooting the other islanders, and they made a run for it. And that sort of action. And when I explained this to one Japanese American, you know what he said? He got really angry. He goes, "What?" First, he denied it. He goes, "You're wrong." I said, "No, I know my facts. It's there." Then he looked at me with really narrow, chinky eyes, and he said, "What are you, Max? Some kind of gook?"
No, not at all. Here we go. Let's get this right here.
George Takei, I hate him.
Also include efforts to
I love it, Max.
Individuals who themselves have access to the presidential campaigns of both political parties.
Oh, really?
We have no tolerance for attempts by authoritarian regimes to exploit
like the U.S.,
our democratic system.
Like this administration
will be relentlessly aggressive in countering and disrupting attempts by Russia and Iran, as well as China or any other foreign malign actor interfere in our elections and undermine them.
Oh my God!
Liar! Now I will turn back to the topic of today's meeting.
Then Hunter should be behind bars already for his actions. Joe Biden should already be behind bars for his being owned by the Chinese.
Against the public servants who administer our elections.
Oh,
Since the 2020 election, we have seen an unprecedented spike in threats against the public servants.
Name one.
Who administer our elections.
Name one.
Election officials, workers, and volunteers in communities across the country have been targeted with heinous acts and threats of violence.
Okay.
Are we talking about right now? Because are we talking about the board here in the state of Georgia that's been threatened multiple times because they passed a law that requires that you have to have identification, that they've put limits on the bullshit that they're going to take in, and that shit is going to be done according to the law.
I gotta get going.
Right, Max. Everybody, make sure to sub to Max and go enjoy dinner, Max. I'll catch up with you later, brother.
Hey, thanks, MJ. Hey, we should do something on baseball one day or something.
Yes,
yeah,
we do.
Yeah,
the playoffs will be coming up here soon too. So yeah.
And so what's whenever it's around 11 o'clock at night? What time is it there in Japan?
It's 9:25 p.m. It's a Friday. It's Friday, 9:25 p.m. We always eat dinner late, so today was
9:20. No, I'm saying whenever it's 11 o'clock here in the U.S. What time is it? Yeah. So you two could probably do like a Friday or a Saturday or Sunday night show.
Yeah.
And it would be morning for you, Max.
Oh yeah. It's good. I wake up now regularly at around 4 in the morning. Not by choice, but I'm getting better at it. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, you go enjoy dinner.
Take care.
Later,
Take care.
brother.
Bye, Max.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
It
Sorry.
knocked me out too. Oh my god.
No, well, no, I was, because I know he was trying to leave. I was trying to hide him.
Yeah.
We had to show ID for years in Tennessee. No problem. So, yeah, these heinous acts
You
that he's
gotta have an
talking
ID
about.
to do just about any damn thing except vote. So they can
In some states.
in any state. Try to go into a federal courthouse. Try to go and get on a plane. Try to drive a car. You have to get an ID for just about get a bank account to do anything.
Get a bank account to drink in a club, to
help
buy,
to register
booze,
to register
buy
your kids for
cigarettes.
school.
Yeah.
You've got to have the parents have to have their IDs on file.
Yeah.
So
this is why
it's ridiculous. But all of a sudden, but they can't manage to get. If they can't afford it, you can get them for free.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
And
a state ID. That's not a driver license.
Right. You can get a state ID without anything whatsoever. All you have to have is a birth certificate, social security card. That's it.
Yeah. It's bullshit.
I mean, unless you don't live in this country, you probably don't have a social security card because you don't pay social security if you don't live in this country. Like, it's just stupid.
It's ridiculous. Well, the thing is, it's a way for them to actually insult the people they claim to represent by saying they're too stupid to get a damn ID. That's what they're saying.
Or don't know where to go to vote.
Yeah.
Although
they're
they
not
have
smart enough
signs,
to do this.
although they have signs fucking leading up to the whole damn place. Vote here, vote here, vote here, vote here.
Yeah.
Right there, dumbass.
Yeah, maybe if you're not smart enough to get an ID or know where to vote, you really should be fucking voting. Yeah. Maybe you just shouldn't be voting. If you can't figure out how to get an ID and find out where you're supposed to vote, you shouldn't vote. Shouldn't be allowed.
Well, it just goes to show you that even the lowest of the low, the people that are don't even know the American language or can't speak it, they're able to get voter IDs. Now, are you saying that you're less smart than a Mexican illegal? Is that what you're saying? You're saying you're less smart than that? Wow.
So say that's the way Democrats can slight these groups.
Oh, good morning, Tinkle Tits. Good morning. Oh,
I haven't even looked at chat. I'm sure.
Oh my god. Oh no, here let's play this a little bit more.
Actions the Justice Department has taken over the past year. In New Mexico, county commissioners and other elected officials were targeted with a series of shootings that the department has alleged in court papers were organized by an unsuccessful candidate for the state legislature who claimed that the election had been, quote, rigged against him.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear about
been in the news. Yeah. If that was true, it would have been all over the damn place.
Yeah. Yeah. That right there is okay. Hey, Rosalind, check your Twitter X, whatever they call that thing.
At least 3 of the shootings occurred while the intended victims or their children or their family members were at home. In February, 2 shooters who
So what because he keeps saying this, what was the person's name? Okay. What was the person's name? Because it's like you're throwing out these allegations and you notice that he doesn't name
there's
any
no
of the people.
there's no actual facts behind it. It's basic, it's just political argument. There's no actual facts behind it. Oh, we think this is happening. Well, then say who the candidate was. Because if they're under investigation or there's a case out there, then it should be public record.
Yes. And then you can fact check it. Check this.
But they don't want that.
Oh, I've got to do something really quick because it just makes me so happy whenever I see this face come creeping in here.
Hello guys, it's Jovan, and you know what time it is? Disco time.
Hey, Rosalind Duke, how you doing, girl?
What's up? What up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. Good. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, girl. How you doing?
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
No, you're not.
Oh, that's okay. You're not going to see her because she's not wearing any clothes right now. She can't come on like that. She knows better. She knows better. You know, she hears me in the morning.
Well,
she can, but
and have to start a new channel.
yeah. Start a new
Chat would
stream.
much rather see you than me. So
I haven't got coffee yet, so just bear with me.
There we go. She's got her image up there. Oh my God. Yeah. So as we were saying, this right here, where he's saying these shooters, he never names the company. And you notice that he hasn't named the company. We all know who it is, but they won't name the company. We also know that he's not going to name who the shooters were, who they were shooting at, any of this stuff that they're talking about. So you can't fact check him.
Well, what shooting are we talking about now?
We don't know.
Oh, they're claiming that there was some like New Mexico candidate for New Mexican office or something who claimed the election was rigged against him, and then they threatened to shoot up things. I don't know. Because it's just vague allegations. There's no names or anything concrete to support what he's saying.
Perfect.
We alleged were recruited by the candidate, pled guilty to carrying out the attacks. In March, the candidate himself was charged in the 13-count superseding indictment.
What
in
candidate?
Arizona, a man sent a state election official a bomb threat warning that if she did not resign within 2 days, quote, the explosive device impacted in her personal space would be detonated. In March, the man was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison for making a threat. In Maricopa County, Arizona, an elections official,
give the names,
county attorney, and their families were threatened by a defendant who called for, quote, a mass shooting of poll workers and election officials in precincts he believed had, quote, suspect results. His revolting comments included, quote, dead children burn into the memories of people. The county attorney who had been targeted later reported that he, his wife, and 4 children had been assigned round-the-clock protection and issued body armor in response to the threat.
This is a lie. You can't, nothing to back it up.
Said in a victim,
if they got round-the-clock protection, you should be able to name them.
I am the person directly threatened by this case. The impact of such threats is felt by a much larger community. The thousands of committed election workers who operate our democratic processes.
But we're not a Democrat.
Threats are made against any election worker. The impact reverberates throughout the entire community.
So name them.
That defendant was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison.
Name them.
In recent months, our enforcement actions.
Because I haven't heard
if it's
anything
already
about
done and he's sentenced to 3.5 years, it's public record. Tell us his name.
Yeah.
The person's been convicted. It's not a secret. Tell us. It's because maybe it wasn't the way you're portraying it.
Yeah.
Or the political parties aren't the way you want people to think they are. The political affiliations of the people, because they do that a lot.
Yeah, it's a possibility
they
that
try to make it look like it's some right-wing action and it's some far-left, sycophant attacking someone.
Yeah,
They do that all the time.
What was it that? I mean, was it the guy that went into Nancy Pelosi's house and attacked her husband?
Yeah, they're trying to make it
and they still keep to this day claiming that was some right-wing activist, and he wasn't. He was a left-wing activist.
It was a butt buddy of her husband.
Well, facts not in evidence.
No.
I mean, what's the
I'm feeling there might be a video that you saw that one that Drex posted on Twitter yesterday, right?
No.
There might be one of those floating around somewhere.
Oh.
You definitely can't show it.
Oh no. No. I can't show a lot of stuff that Drex shows. It's like,
But yeah, a lot of Democrats probably got some of them floating around.
yeah.
A trend going on in Maricopa County. What is going on?
What's happening in Maricopa?
Isn't this Maricopa?
Oh, he just said Arizona.
Oh, he said Arizona.
No, he said in Maricopa County there was someone that. Yeah, he did say Maricopa, and this person is spending 3 years in jail. I'm sitting there going, okay, so who was it?
Name it. Name the person.
Yeah, they haven't yet to name a single person. That's why I don't trust what he's saying. And this is just a scare tactic. It's Russia, Russia, Russia all over again. This is the Steele dossier. It's propaganda bullshit. That's all it is.
Things have continued. In July, we just secured the guilty plea of an Alabama man.
Oh, who's this?
To kill Maricopa County election workers and officials.
What was his name?
Particularly chilling message. He said, quote,
Okay.
"You better
Oh,
not
who
come
said
into
this?
church, my business, or send your kids to my school. You are stupid if you think you are safe." His sentence in the schedule.
So who was it?
Also in July, the Justice
Name
Department secured a 14-month sentence from a man
On who?
sent a death threat to a Michigan election worker.
Who?
Voicemail, he said, quote, 10 million plus patriots will surround you when you least expect it. And
Who?
he added, we'll kill you.
Who said this?
Less than 2 weeks ago, we charged and arrested a Colorado man for allegedly
Colorado
threatening
man.
the lives of election officials, judges, and law enforcement officials in both Colorado and Arizona.
Okay, what was his name?
As I have said before, and I will reiterate again today.
If you've charged
You'll
him,
lie
it's
again
public
today.
information. Tell us.
Yep.
If you threaten to harm or kill an election worker or official or volunteer, the Justice Department will find you.
Well, it's pretty amazing to me that you'll find us, but you haven't named a single person that you found. So I doubt that you're telling the truth. Name them. Name every single one of them. Name the people that they were going after. Call them out on this bullshit, because whatever you bring to light, these people, Brian Jury, Ogstad, okay. See, they're Bunsen sounded. Maybe he didn't get their names. Well, of course he didn't get their names. But who was the election official that he went after? And
What's the DOJ? That's
tried
the
for?
DOJ. It's his people that the attorney generals and U.S. attorneys that are going after these people. These are federal charges, so he knows who they are.
Yeah. Hey, we live in a country where if you tell the FBI some kid is getting ready to go on a pew-pew spree, they won't stop it.
No. But then after the fact, says, "Oh yeah, he was on our radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew about this person. We knew about them a year ago, 2 years ago. We didn't do anything."
Right. And we're not a democracy. This is the misconception. Garland, you should know this.
Argue and debate, often loudly, in order to achieve the policy outcomes they decide.
I don't have to argue loudly. That's the thing. I don't have to argue. I can walk away from an argument. I don't have to argue it.
And the Justice Department will continue to relentlessly protect the rights of all Americans to peacefully express
bullshit
opinions, beliefs,
Yeah. No, they don't.
Ones they choose.
a promise of
Only they choose.
Yeah, so to protect
We're
all
not a
Americans. So
democracy.
why don't you help prosecute the bastards coming across the border illegally?
Because that's not their department, right?
The DOJ still has,
I know. I'm
you get
making
people who
I'm
are
making-
repeats,
Yes.
committing crimes, committing federal crimes.
the public servants who administer our elections must be able to do their jobs without fearing for their lives. That is
Name
why
one.
this task force has been marshaling the full resources of the Justice Department to aggressively investigate and prosecute threats targeting election workers, officials, and volunteers. And we will continue to do so in the months ahead, when the task force will build on the partnerships with
We'll
state
continue to weaponize the Department of Justice against our
Yep.
political enemies.
officials,
Mm-hmm.
tasked.
Maybe they're trying to send us a message in the
March,
words that are
the task
yellow.
force has participated in more than 20
That's what it is.
Secret code.
It's totally secret code.
5 convenings, engagements, trainings, tabletop exercises, including both with our law enforcement partners and with our partners in the election community nationwide. Over the next several weeks,
So that was
task force
25 training
representatives
enforcements
will be
over.
Over elections.
election workers. And in early November, both in advance of and after Election Day, the FBI will be hosting federal partners at its headquarters command center to address events, issues, and potential crimes related to the elections in real time.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
So how many
there
Democrats
it
are you
is.
going to arrest? How many Democrat operatives are you
There.
going to arrest?
There it is. Listen to what he just said. This is very important. This is the threat. This right here is the threat. On November, what is it, 6th? Election day?
Fifth, I think the 5th is election day.
So on November 6th, this is their promise. This is the Department of Justice's promise. Okay?
People will not employ violence to achieve their preferred outcomes.
Listen, here it comes.
Well,
servants who administer
Just listen.
elections must be able to do their jobs
It's coming.
without fearing for their lives.
Here comes his
That
promise.
is why this task force has been marshaling the full resources of the Justice Department to aggressively investigate and prosecute threats targeting election workers, officials, and volunteers. And we will continue to do so in the months ahead, when the task force will build on the partnerships with state and local election officials and law enforcement officials tasked with protecting them. Since March, the task force has participated in more than 25 convenings, engagements, trainings, tabletop exercises, including both with our law enforcement partners
Here it comes.
and with our partners in the election community nationwide.
This is the threat.
Over the next several weeks, task force representatives will be on the ground meeting with election workers. And in early November, both in advance of and after Election Day, the FBI will be hosting federal partners at its headquarters command center to address events, issues, and potential crimes related to the elections in real time.
You heard the whole threat right there. The threat is if you say
anybody
anything,
questions it, they're going to come after you.
anybody questions, they are coming after you. If you can be sitting there watching it in real time and do not be surprised at some of these larger channels.
I watched the vote tallies change in real time last 4 years ago. I watched the numbers change in real time 4 years ago in front of my eyes.
And if you're reporting it, if you're reporting on it, they're coming for you. They got your name. This is exactly what they're telling you. They will shut down. They will shut down you immediately. They've got people, and this is the threat. This right here is the threat that he just made. It has nothing to do with somebody that they can't name, attacked by somebody else they can't name. This right
so
here
are they going to
is
arrest people blocking election workers, election observers, like they did 4 years ago, where they kicked them out? Are they going to arrest the people kicking them out because they have an absolute right?
No.
They have a right to be there and observe the elections.
They're going to they're going to arrest the observers.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, you know
because if you have the observer coming in there to observe, it means that they're going to say that they're attacking the workers. Yeah. It's a threat to the election workers. So the watcher is going to be arrested. You're going to see it in real time. They're going to be doing it in real time.
Absolutely.
And you notice that they're not planning on having the election done in one day. The day of the election, they've already planned it out weeks after that. So he's telling you right now, the weeks after the election, I mean, I'll play it again.
As they're generating the votes they need, they're going to be going after anybody questioning.
Exactly.
So what's the solution?
What's the solution? Oh, you need to shut up and obey. That's the solution.
No. That's not going to happen. What's the solution to actually feel like you're getting your vote in?
You're not
Well,
supposed
the only solution is something that people don't want, and it's something Thomas Jefferson expected every generation. But it's not something that really should happen. But
No, it
when
shouldn't.
you have a
It shouldn't
tyrannical
happen.
government the way we have, there are rights and obligations of the people.
Yes.
So do we wait till election day to vote, or do we vote early and often? I mean, like, what do we do?
Well, this would be
Democrats
my.
vote early and often.
Well, so will some Republicans, because
Dead grandfather.
Well, here's what I think that the red states, and because I don't have any control over this, but all of the red states, counties, all of those people right there need to wait
Just got to show up
for about a week after election to hand in their votes. Just give them a little taste of it as you're going through.
That's what needs to happen.
This way
Is the red counties in these swing states should wait to report until after the big cities have.
Yep.
And just wait, because you'll see what's happening is that the blue counties will never report in these swing states if the red counties don't, because they need to know how many votes they got to catch up.
Yep, that's all that.
And that's what happened last time with it, bringing in thousands and thousands of ballots under the cover of darkness.
Yeah,
so that they can make it up.
Yeah, why were these trucks showing up? Why were the trucks showing up in what was it? Was it Pittsburgh or Michigan or something like that? Where they
all over the place.
Election,
you had ballots being pulled out from under the table in Atlanta.
Yeah, the people were not allowed to observe because they were kicked out. Then these truckloads of ballots came in. And next thing you see happening is they start putting up cardboard on the windows so people can't view. That was what we saw happening in real time. Are you telling me?
The only solution to that is for those election workers to have forced their way in. They have a right to be there. You can't kick them out. So
they can now. He just said that they will. He said that they'll be arrested.
Well, I understand that, but that would have done it because there were far more election observers there than there were people trying to keep them out. Poll workers.
Yeah,
they have a right to be forced their way, but nobody has the balls to do with that kind of stuff anymore. Our founding fathers wouldn't have stood for that. I can guarantee you that.
No, they would not have.
So don't vote early. Don't mail in. Go in person.
Yes. Why not?
But you got to show up. That's the thing. Is you can't just my county's red. There's no. It's not going to be a problem. You got to show up and vote.
No, I get it, but just there's some weird messaging coming out from the Republican side saying vote early, and I'm just wondering if there's a reason behind that.
What is the reason behind that? Because Republicans are just as bad as Democrats in this shit.
They can only make up so many votes. So if you can if everybody can vote.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
The Republican cowards, the rhinos, require spines for shit for that. The rhino contingency is still at the top.
That's even coming out of the Trump campaign. I mean, that's on their website.
Sure.
Vote
early.
If it's available, why not? The problem there is you're trusting the local election official not to see who you're voting for and switch the vote.
Yep.
Because
right.
There's no guarantee these people don't already have systems. Nothing has changed from 4 years ago with the elections, with the systems.
Nope, not at all. Except Georgia. Georgia did change some stuff. And there's a lot of blowback on that.
And they're trying to remove the people who did it. So
yeah. Those people are the ones that are being threatened.
Yeah.
I live in Dallas, and it's kind of purple here.
Yeah. Well,
I'm breaking up.
According to you're breaking up a little bit, but according to according to the AP, that you're solid red. And Houston is blue.
Well, really, I mean, outside of Houston and Austin, Texas is pretty damn red.
Yeah, Houston's definitely blue, but Dallas is kind of purple.
Because even Dallas is more
although
red
our
than
mayor
it is
switched
purple.
sides last year, he denounced his Democrat status and switched to Republican. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know what they.
I mean,
All I
our
know
mayor
is
space filler.
I do know that there's a day to vote. There is a single day scheduled to vote. That
And
tally
that should be it, unless you have a bona fide absentee basis for voting absentee. There should be no mail-in ballots, none of that bullshit. When I was in law school, I had to vote absentee. And I had that people, I had
Because you were
two
in
people
another
witness
state.
to say, yes, this, and attest that this is who he says he is. Yes, this is him. And we're signing an affidavit, we're signing it off, saying this is who he is.
Those days are gone. Now you can be an expat and vote. You can be living in France and vote. You know, you could be in Italy and vote. All you got to do is send a mail-in ballot.
Well, I'm saying that it should have to be an absentee ballot because you have to request those ahead of time.
Well, I know that my grandparents.
If you can't make it on election day, then too bad. You've got 12 plus hours to find a way to get there and vote. If you can't make it, you're going to be out of state on business, you're on military orders or whatever it is, a valid, bona fide reason to be absentee, you can get an absentee ballot. None of this mail-in bullshit.
They want to get as many registered voter early. It's a huge lead, so they can't bring in illegal. So they can't. Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing is they'll know how many they have to create. Because it's amazing. They did it last time. You had how many million more votes counted than there are even registered eligible voters, registered voters.
We had quite a few odd things happen in the state of Georgia that whenever they did the recount, they did it completely wrong, and that got brushed under the table. There was a lot of things that didn't quite jive up. Quite a bit. But
Arizona, you had 20,000 people who were no longer Arizona residents vote. Same thing in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You had thousands of people who were no longer Arizona residents and therefore not eligible to vote as in the cast an Arizona or a Georgia ballot.
But you're not allowed to talk about those things because that would be disinformation.
That stuff was proven in court. It was shown. It was established that happened.
Yeah, but it's disinformation according to YouTube. I blame Shizzy for Georgia. Yeah. Well, she was cute at one point in time. I did ruin her.
Election officials and administrators do not need to navigate this threat environment alone. We are here to support them and to make sure they can safely carry out their critical work. Protecting our democracy and protecting our elections was a founding purpose when the Justice.
Let me know when you got your camera off, Rosalind.
The department answered that charge then, and we will answer that charge today as we confront those who would use violence or threats of violence to attack those who administer our elections. Now, I'd like to ask the Deputy Attorney General to make some remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Attorney General, and good afternoon, everyone. I also want to start by expressing my sympathies to the families who have been impacted by yet another horrific act of gun violence.
No, it wasn't gun violence. It was violence. It was violence. Simple as that. This child would have done the same thing if he would have had access to a pocket knife, a spoon.
They knew about this kid for a freaking year, yet the same DOJ did nothing. So, my condolences. Bullshit. They're responsible for this kid even being out there still.
And it's not Winter, Georgia. It's Winder, Georgia. And yeah, this kid had some serious issues going on, and
what I heard, like one of his classmates, the quote was that he was like a textbook mass shooter. But that was something his classmates even saw it and mentioned it.
Yeah.
This time in Winder, Georgia. I also want to extend
Winder, you
heartfelt
dumbass.
support for and solidarity with the members of law enforcement and community members who are responding to this tragedy. Now, we are fewer
I
than
got two
65
Rosalind
days
Dukes.
out from the election, and this convening reflects the diverse and aggressive threat landscape that we face and the breadth of the department's work that we are doing to combat those threats.
What are you doing?
In our increasingly polarized environment, we're seeing
I'm not
Thanks
polarized.
to you people.
No,
Thanks to them.
here's
the
the thing.
media, it's polarized.
My wife is a Democrat. I'm a Republican, and we're on opposite beliefs in this. And tell me how it's polarized, because I've got no problem with Democrats. Hell, I have Democrats that show up in my chat all the time, and are just as respectful as can be. I have Republicans on the other side that are the same way. Just there's respect given, between two. The polarization is them creating polarization by saying crap like this, of saying,
No, the media is
well,
pushing the division.
oh yeah,
When you're divided, you're easier to control.
exactly. I'm recording all election coverage this year. Oh yeah. That's the other thing. But here's the trick, lady in the back. Remember, they have control over the interwebs. Okay? And everything is on a delay. So you might be recording the coverage, but guess what? If they see something that's funky, don't be surprised if your internet just mysteriously goes
They'll
down.
make sure that you don't see vote tallies go backwards in real time.
Yeah.
Because I'll watch that shit happen.
Yep. That right there we'll be going elsewhere. Oh yeah. There's they learned from last year. Our last election. Oh no, our founding purpose is a constitutional republic. Is wearing a pants shoot. Yep. Good to see you, Yamaha.
continued threats toward election workers.
Name
those
one.
Who ensure that we all can exercise our most fundamental of rights, the right to vote.
Name one.
And we are identifying
Well,
dangerous.
you actually don't have the right to vote for president, but okay.
Division, discord,
Right.
and disinformation, particularly across social media.
And there it is. So they're going after people that are talking on social media. Now, did they not do the same thing in Canada just not too long ago? And they're doing the same thing in UK with people that are speaking out about what's happening in the UK. They're coming and arresting them because of a Facebook post, because of a Twitter post. Do you think that's coming to you? Coming soon to a Twitter post nearby.
Oh
yeah. Oh my God.
Threats of violence to public officials, including election workers, represent
Name one.
clear and present danger to our democratic process.
Are you talking about like the guys that showed up at polling places with baseball bats? Oh no, don't.
They have the right melanin content. You can't go.
That's right. It wasn't the triple alphabet there. It was the Black Panthers that showed up at a polling place threatening people.
They don't
want to talk about that. Yeah, you can't really talk about that. The threats that always seem to be coming from the left, they can't talk about those either. Weird. The other thing that is amazing to me is I'm not too far from a polling place. And every single year that I've gone to vote, every single election that I've voted in, every special election, all that kind of crap, whenever I walk in, I have never seen anyone there disrespecting any of the poll workers. All the poll workers live in the community. We sit there and talk. Oh, where do you live? And just like, hey, I live over there. Oh, it's good to see you, and I hope everything goes good. How's the voting going? It's been a slow day today, or whatever. Or well, it was busier than usual. I've never seen anybody come in there threatening or being assholes to any of the poll workers or the people that are there observing. Like, it's completely respectful, and they're just like, just going about their business for the day. Where is it that these issues are happening? It's happening in your larger cities, and it's mainly in Democrat cities.
Yep.
So tell me, is that what they're complaining about? Because if they are, then it's their own people. How do you know they ain't from Georgia? Winder. Winder.
That's why
I'm gonna have to head out.
Elections task force.
All right, brother. Sorry. Yeah, he's got work to do. Everybody, make sure that you subbed up to that game. How far do you, Georgia? Yeah. Hey, Rosalind. She's maybe not able to talk, but we'll get it.
To investigate and prosecute the growing
They are
threats directed at the public servants who make our elections possible.
Winder.
Dedicated career prosecutors.
There we go.
I actually didn't mean for that to happen, but it's like, oh shit.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I was starting to bring up chat because on my phone I have to do something. I have to click a couple of things, and I just hit back to like take the menu down, and it just backed everything up. So stupid.
Yeah. See, how do you say in the same thing?
I always hit the red buttons.
Oh yeah. So confused now. Same here in my little big city, your polling location. Yeah. Why are you confused, Volstorm? I don't know why Volstorm's confused.
He doesn't know where the buttons are.
He doesn't know where the buttons are either.
So what do you have coming up, MG?
I guess FNL tonight.
And then
I don't know.
Doing something Saturday. I thought you were doing something Saturday.
I don't have anything planned yet. I may play games or something. Do something.
Oh, okay.
I think Kaiser has given up social media for a while, so I guess there won't be a Halo night.
Why? He gave up social media for a while. Why? What happened?
He posted on Twitter something. He's got a lot going on, so he's just stepping away.
Oh,
and, so I'm like, great. So there goes my Saturday night Halo.
Well, is he not gonna play with you on Saturday night? Maybe he will. Maybe he's able to join in. I hope he's doing okay.
I thought he was on Epic Friday with Vices last week.
Yeah, but it was just like a couple of days ago. He mentioned it on Twitter that he was stepping away. I was like, okay. Yeah, it was this week that he said it. So.
Spy Toy says Halo isn't social media. It's a game. Vancouver, BC buses were driven in and were told who to vote for. Something might happen to the families abroad. China came to light 2 years ago, and government still says results would be the same. Yeah, Selena, that sucks. Sucks.
Well, thanks for having me on, Shizzy. And,
definitely, brother. You take care.
See you later, MG. Yep. See you in the chat.
Good one. All right, see ya.
Bye.
Oh my gosh. MG, everybody go sub up to that, man. He's good people. Good people. He was gone for a little bit because he was sick, which he never told me. So how was I supposed to know? I sent him a message. I was like, are you doing okay? It's been forever, man. So how you doing, Rosalind?
I'm good.
Good. What do you have coming up?
Well, still working on the collecting my dots for the conspiracy on J13. Doing some research on that. I'm about to publish one on Kenan Hooper, who is one of the guys that was supposedly spotted on the premises that day, but who is MIA, connected to Antifa. He's an interesting character. So I've kind of done a deep dive on him, and I'm going to put that out. And then I think we're going to do a live stream on the importance, what role the trains are playing in some of this stuff that's been going on, which is fascinating. It's really fascinating. yard boys, train hoppers. I don't know if you know what that is, but they're an interesting crew. But it's really easy to maneuver around the country if you don't have to buy a ticket, you don't have to show ID, you don't have to go through security. You can take as many guns as you want, take as many friends as you want, hop on and off at your leisure. So it's pretty bizarre. And I will say it is a little unnerving when you're researching somebody and you keep getting a warning that the person you're searching is on a government watch list. Like, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, now me too, I guess. So
And Spy Toy says, Rose, I think she means Rosalind. You're not concerned about researching these topics?
no, not really. I will say it is unnerving once you start poking around some of the bigger names. We've got 2 direct connections to Dick Cheney so far, but I haven't got the evidence on any of that to really publish. Dick Cheney kind of scares me, I have to say.
Well, yeah, he should.
Yeah, I'm used to, right. I'm used to researching people that are deceased. So it is interesting. It's a different way of, it's a different feeling. I have to say, it's like, maybe I'll wait on that one. But yeah, these guys that are ghosts, some of these guys that are ghosts they're pretty scary too, I have to say.
Well, and it's not just, I think what's scarier is having a public figure that you're not able to do any research on. Like, that freaks me out more than somebody that's just a ghost and has no online presence whatsoever. Those people don't bother me, because that's just somebody that's like, I've avoided it this long, I'm good to go. It's the people that are public figures that don't have any sort of online presence that you can't search into them.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I get that too. I get that too. Well,
Why
the
does
thing with Max Yerrick and Kenan Hooper is still online. But I will be doing a video going over his social media and kind of talking about how I interpret it before it gets taken down anyway. I've screenshot most of it, but some of it's already coming down, so I figure I better just stream it and go through it just to get it documented. But Maxwell Yerrick was wiped on the 13th. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, like, you've got 2 guys who were arrested at a Trump rally for assault and avoiding arrest. They're sentenced to a year in jail, but they were apparently never released from jail, but they're not in jail. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And there's something hanky going on in Pittsburgh. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there is. I've been noticing that also.
It's reminding me a lot of the Pontchartrain camp that Lee Harvey Oswald was a part of with the Cubans, Cuban black site. I'm getting that kind of vibe.
Yeah. Let's continue on with these guys here.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Every single day, working hand in glove with state and local law enforcement. In recent months, as was just detailed, the task force has continued to prosecute threats toward public servants. And we will continue working tirelessly with our law enforcement partners to ensure threat actors answer for their actions.
So any poll workers.
Any election official, worker, or volunteer is at bottom a threat to our democracy.
That's a warning to you poll watchers. Warning to you poll watchers out there. If they feel threatened, or they say they feel threatened, you are probably going to end up in jail. Just best thing to do is keep your mouth shut, report it, and move on. That if they don't let you into a polling place, don't argue with them, don't fight with them, don't discuss anything. All you have to do is just report on it. Record them if you need to. Of course, you're not allowed to record in polling places. Damn, doesn't that suck? Because then you have no proof of the lies that they will tell to make sure that you're not there. Not good.
The Election Threats Task Force convened today fits into a larger effort by the department to safeguard our elections. A critical element of that work includes combating foreign malign influence activity as illustrated by the actions we've announced today. Our foreign adversaries' primary goal is to undermine confidence in our democratic institutions and values, including working covertly to influence and manipulate
This
our
is so
elections.
bad.
Today's
What
actions
a lie.
out by the Attorney General reaffirm that Russia remains a predominant
He laid
security
nothing.
threat
He laid nothing
to
out
our
but lies.
elections. And as the intelligence community has publicly reported, and as I have previously warned, Iran also is accelerating its efforts to influence our elections, including the presidential election.
So, so just so you people understand what she's talking about, that Iran is funding all these Free Palestine protesters to come out and protest. All right, they have yet to go after the protesters for this. They've yet to do anything to the protesters and have them arrested for the bull crap that they're playing. But why would they be doing that? Is because they're also funding the DNC. So whenever you see these things coming out, the people that are behind the Free Palestine movement are the same people that want what's called divestment. You got people like Ilhan Omar. Yeah, what the whole squad is part of divesting colleges that are supplying money to colleges from Israel. And who would want Iran in power? It certainly isn't Trump. Exactly. So whenever you're seeing this talking about Iran, they're not going to do anything about it. They're going to say, "Oh, there's some hackers trying to get into the campaign." More than likely, it's someone similar to what do you call it? The Sun and Hugh that were arrested that had infiltrated Cuomo, and this is garbage. And they won't ever go after him.
Today's actions reaffirm the department's ongoing commitment to detect, investigate, expose, and hold accountable all those who perpetrate foreign malign influence schemes. In our work of combating and exposing actors affiliated with Russia, Iran, or any foreign actor seeking to influence our election will continue day in and day out without fear or favor. I'm grateful to the members of law enforcement, and all the public officials working around the clock to protect our election process and to bring to justice those who seek to undermine our democracy.
We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic.
To the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, for bringing the task force together again.
And if you say anything about the shooting in Winder, I'm going to fast forward you moron.
For this meeting, before I dive into things, as you heard, FBI agents are on scene in Winder coordinating with
shut up.
Election workers from violence and threats of violence. And as we get closer to Election Day, we're going to continue to step up our collective efforts to protect those charged with ensuring our election runs smoothly.
They're warning you ahead of time.
Before, election workers, many of whom are volunteers and all of whom are public servants, are the lifeblood of our elections. And we're committed to ensuring that threats directed at election workers receive the swift and thorough response they deserve. Of course, our commitment to protecting elections and Americans' right to vote extends to an even broader array of threats.
What do you got now?
Both the law enforcement and intelligence agency will continue to work 24/7 to uncover and disrupt. That means aggressively combating attempts by foreign adversaries to undermine confidence in U.S. elections, sow discord, and damage our democratic institutions. The actions announced today focus on Russia, but Russia is by no means the only adversary we've seen try to meddle in society and democratic processes. Just last month, for instance, the FBI, working with the broader intelligence community and CISA, called out Iran for targeting and attempting to compromise former President Trump's campaign. And we continue to keep a close eye on China's efforts to denigrate down-ballot candidates it sees as a threat, and on their broader efforts to sow
discord. Whether it's China, Iran, Russia, or any other country.
People that don't
attempts to
like
meddle in our
Trump.
elections or destabilize our free and open society represent attacks on our democracy.
But we're not a
As long
democracy.
as foreign adversaries keep engaging in these hostile influence campaigns, they're going to keep running into the FBI.
I doubt it.
Today, we're exposing 2 illegal Russian covert influence operations.
So they got 2 people that they're naming, and we've got nothing. They haven't even. They're in the wind. They haven't been able to locate them.
Targeting the American public. The first was run by RT, formerly known as Russia Today. Now, for years, the Russian government has used RT to seed and amplify their propaganda narratives around the world. And while RT America suspended its official operations in the U.S. back in early 2022, our investigation revealed that since at least last year, RT has used people living and working inside the U.S. to facilitate contracts with American media figures to create and disseminate Russian propaganda here. The content was released as independent news, when in fact, much of it was created in Russia by RT employees who worked for the Russian government.
Okay.
The second operation reveals even more malign activities by companies working under the direction and control of the Russian government. Companies that created media websites to trick Americans into unwittingly consuming Russian propaganda. Today's announcement exposes those companies and their influence operations.
But they're still up.
Operations that relied on AI-generated content, influencers, and paid social media advertising
there it is.
to drive
AI.
internet traffic to their sites and target Americans with disinformation.
Uh-huh.
As of noon today, we've seized those sites, rendered them inoperable, and made clear to the world what they are: Russian attempts to interfere in our elections and influence our society.
Oh, really? Let's see. Let's see. I looked this up yesterday, and they hadn't done this. Russian Today. What is it? Russia Today. Yeah, there it is. Russia Today television network. Yeah, they're still up. Yeah, Russia Today is still up, believe it or not. RT International has not been taken down. So is he lying? I mean, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Whenever I say this, I don't joke about this at all. Okay? As you can see, Russia Today is still up and running right there. Got World News, Russia, former Soviet Union, on air about RT Business News, still up there. You can still search it, and it's still there. So what did they take down? I'm curious. They say they took that down. Maybe that's not true. Is it possible? Weird.
As the lead agency for investigating threats to U.S. elections, the FBI is focused on ensuring that our laws are respected and enforced. And when we learn that adversaries overseas are trying to hide who they are and where their propaganda is coming from as part of campaigns to deliberately sow discord, we're going to continue to do everything we can to expose their hidden hand and disrupt their efforts.
Or nothing.
I'll close by saying thank you again to everyone on the task force for the support you're providing us and for everything you're doing to instill confidence in our elections.
The task force
No
has made
confidence.
charges or secured convictions against defendants in Arizona, Colorado, Kentucky, and Michigan, and opened new
Name them.
investigations across the country.
Name.
The task force is also preparing for Election Day. Our
It
attorneys
is.
are meeting with election officials around the country and recently hosted a training for FBI and DOJ personnel nationwide to address threats of violence to the election community and other criminal threats to our elections.
They are giving their hand away right here. They are completely, entirely giving their hand away. That is a perfect picture with their tongue sticking out like that. They're telling you, if you're a poll watcher, that you will be arrested. If they think that you're a threat, you'll be arrested. If you say anything, mention anything, record anything, notate anything, they will consider it a threat, and you will be arrested. And the DOJ is saying that they will arrest you. They've said it several times throughout this press conference. You will be arrested. Good luck to poll
And
workers
we
out
are
there.
continuing to surge additional resources to these efforts. The Public Integrity Section has added 5 attorneys to support its election crimes branch so that we can rapidly respond to reports of election crimes.
Yep.
As we approach
Here it
election day,
comes.
we will ensure that the team has all the resources it needs to perform its essential work. I could not be prouder of the Election Threats Task Force. As we move forward, I am confident that their dedicated efforts will continue to put us in the best position possible to support and protect the election community. With that, I will turn it over to Assistant Attorney General Matt Olson for the National Security Division.
This is just reiterating transparency powers.
Evaluate information and to make informed decisions for themselves. We will defend the integrity of our public discourse against any who would seek to break the law and to exert covert influence, regardless of viewpoint or whether that actor is Russia, Iran, or any other nation.
Yeah,
These
okay.
charges serve as a reminder that the Justice Department remains.
When Russia Today sent a statement to Fox News and some other outlets here, mocking the situation, they had 5 bullet points or 6 bullet points. The first.
Yes, did you see this? Oh my god. I swear it was hilarious. What they said is ha ha ha. Oh my god, I saw that yesterday. It is oh yeah. I loathe these sorry ass lying sycophants. Yes. I hope he reads everything that they said because I did laugh. It was pretty funny.
Said, ha 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 ha. 2016 wants its cliches back. In all seriousness, there is a subsection of the country that when they hear Russian interference, they may believe that it's not true. It's not a real thing. How do you assure people this is a real situation?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. What are they going to say this time? Oh. So people are saying like all you find people here are saying, yeah, I don't believe a single word that they're saying that sounds like propaganda.
I'm sure that was much funnier in the original Russian, but for us, it's not funny. This is deadly serious, and we're
Uh-huh.
treated accordingly.
Director Ray, if I can ask you,
Oh, you notice he didn't answer the question. You notice he didn't answer the main question. Yeah, what they had to say? Here, let's see. Response was says, and I believe it was the Treasury Department that received it. What was it? Nope, that wasn't it. The response was so damn funny. Without supporting us, I just want to see what it's there because the response was pretty damn funny. 2016 was it? Orange U.S. response to response. What was it? God, where is it? Pressure response to what was it to Fox? I think it was Fox News that maybe posted it. I read it yesterday and I laughed my ass off because it was pretty damn funny. Oh, refresh this page. Damn it. Fresh. All right. You son of a bitches. They're not gonna show it. I can't find it, but it was hilarious. Oh, here it is. Let's see if we've got it. Nope, it is not there. All right, we'll just continue on with this. See if I can find it.
China, also Iran. You both briefly mentioned Iran and potential influence there. What is your message directly to the leaders of China and Iran who are watching through that camera lens right now? What do you want to say to them over the next few months and beyond?
Knock it off.
Oh.
As long as adversaries keep trying to influence and interfere in our society and our democratic processes, they're going to keep running into the FBI. We're going to keep calling it out. And I think nations around the world have started to also see the same activity. It's not the kind of activity we would expect from nations that want to play in first world space.
Next question,
Oh, I found it. Here's what their response was. Let's pull it up. This is what the response was to them. It said, Russia Today is a major focus of the U.S. announcements. CNN added, noting that U.S. officials see the Russian outlet as a key piece of Kremlin propaganda efforts. This is This is Russia Today's response. Dear CNN, we certainly have a response. Actually, we have several, but we couldn't decide on one. We even thought of running an official office poll. So here they are. 1, ha. 2, ha 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 ha. 3, ha 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 ha. 4, 2016 called back and it wants its cliches back. 5, 3 things are certain in life: death, taxes, and the RT's interference in the US elections. 6, we got to earn our Kremlin paycheck somehow. 7, sincerely, somewhere, Secretary Clinton is sad that it's not because of her. Sincerely, RT press office. That was their official response to it.
That's
It's just
awesome.
like, I mean, it's a troll.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
like this is, they're just like, really? Like, oh yeah, we're influenced by Russia. We're Russian news media. You expect, or maybe they just really don't care what garlic has to say, because
I'm wondering if you can talk about how the Russian effort to influence the election has changed from prior election cycles. What new strategies are you seeing the Russians deploy this year?
Well, I talk generally about it.
Oh yeah, well,
National Security Director, if they want to chime in. Look, it's an
I'll be as
acceleration,
vague as I can.
and it's an increased
Yeah.
sophistication of, and it's
It's
use
word
of
salad.
AI, and cyber techniques that were not available in earlier elections. So we're seeing more and more.
Sure.
It's coming faster and faster. It's now AI fueled.
Oh, AI
Using
fueled.
bot farms in a way that was not possible before, and therefore it's a bigger threat than it ever was before.
I would just say that the reality is that Russia has meddled in our society and tried to sow discord for decades. Really, what we're
What, like you've been sowing discord? No. I would say America is pretty good at sowing its own discord. Just saying. Shelly Babes, how you doing? I love it.
seeing is just more tools in the toolbox with the advent of technology. First, it was social media, which provided a bullhorn, and now, as you've heard, AI is its own amplifier.
No, AI has nothing to do with it. AI doesn't have anything to do with it. Oh my God. Have any of you ever tried running AI? It is completely stupid. I mean,
yeah, I'm not.
How many stories have I done that were AI generated? You can go back to all of the Sunday Spice, the early ones. Those were all AI generated, and it's so ridiculous. It's AI. AI is doing this now. AI is creating fake accounts.
And so whether it's shell companies, fake personas, secret distribution networks.
Yep, here you go.
The point is not the message itself. The point is the hidden hand of the Russian government, which deceives Americans into thinking that they're getting information from American sources when in fact it's coming from the Russian government.
Just like I think that I'm getting information from American sources whenever I pull up the Associated Press or CNN or NBC or ABC or Fox or any of those, that I don't trust any mainstream media because they're paid foreign actors like that. So are they going to go after these major media companies? I think not.
No.
Is the first hearing in the January 6th case against the former president since the superseding indictment against him. He has called these new charges election interference.
Yes,
and a
because they
violation
are.
of the Justice Department policy against doing something too close to the election. How do you respond to that, and how confident are you that your team has followed instructions from the Supreme Court following that decision this summer?
I stand by the actions of the special counsel. The superseding indictment is an effort to respond to the direct instructions of the Supreme Court as to how to effectuate a new indictment in an ongoing case.
Oh, really? Really? Like this right here. Here we go. The federal election interference case against Donald Trump inches forward Thursday, with a judge permitting prosecutors to file court documents later this month that could detail unflattering allegations, blah, blah, blah. The order came hours after the court hearing, the first in a case in nearly a year. Tanya Chutkan sparred with Trump's lawyer. He accused the government of trying to rush ahead with an illegitimate indictment in the run-up to 2024 presidential election. Made it clear she would not let the upcoming election affect how she proceeds, turning aside defense efforts to delay the process with, while also acknowledging that the case is nowhere close to a trial date. There's no rush to judgment here. Looks like they edited some more crap out. Prosecutors and defense lawyers are at odds over the next step in the case after the Supreme Court narrowed the scope of the prosecution by ruling that all former presidents are entitled to broad immunity from criminal charges. The dueling proposals and testy courtroom exchanges Thursday reflect the extent to which the justices' July opinion had upended the path to this case, the charges that Trump were plotting to overturn the 2020 election. By the day's end, she permitted prosecutors to file by September 26 a legal brief that could include fresh details about the failed efforts to cling to that power for 4 years ago. The brief is meant to defend the revised, stripped-down Trump indictment that Special Counsel Jack Smith. This right here is election interference, plain and simple. They are trying to affect the outcome of this. So yeah, we may be dealing with an illegitimate indictment from the get-go. The Supreme Court held that former presidents are immune from prosecution for the exercise of their core constitutional functions and presumptively immune for all official duties. The defense can comprehensively, quick, and so well we have. Yeah, they were prepared for this in the first place. Smith's team has appealed that ruling. Trump's lawyers said they intend to ask Chutkan to dismiss the election case on the same grounds, though Chutkan noted in court Thursday that she did not find Cannon's opinion particularly persuasive. Of course, why would she? Because it's all BS. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning. So, as promised, I've got for you guys today.
Did you already go over Hunter's statement?
Yeah, I've already gone over that.
It's so noble of him. So noble.
Yes, isn't it though? So noble. I went over JD Vance, went over Hunter Biden, the courtroom bullshit, and then, of course, this one right here is the Justice Department has charged a Russian-born U.S. citizen, a former advisor to Donald Trump in 2016, with working for sanctioned Russian state television network. Dmitry Simes and his wife received over $1 million in a personal car and a driver exchange for work they did for Russia's Channel 1 since June of 2022. The network is sanctioned by the U.S. in 2022 over this. Simes, 76, and his wife, Anastasia Simes, have a home in Huntley, Virginia, and are believed to be in Russia. These defendants allegedly violated sanctions that were put in place in response to Russia's illegal aggression on Ukraine. See how they're going. Indictments at a time, a renewed concern. Simes in Washington think that think tank he led, the Center for National Interest, which featured promptly on Special Mueller's investigation into Russian interference. Before one such meeting, according to Mueller report, Simes sent Kushner a letter detailing potential talking points for Trump about Russia and also passed along derogatory information about Bill and was forwarded to other representatives in those campaigns. It was not immediately clear if either defendant had a lawyer who could speak on their behalf. An attorney for the previously represented Simes said he was no longer representing him. The Trump campaign did not immediately return a message seeking comment on Thursday in an interview with the New York Times before the charges were announced. Simes, who appeared regularly on Channel 1, defended the network. The work he was doing. I assumed that what I was saying on Russian TV would not be to the liking of the Biden administration, but I also assumed that as long as it was just my opinion and that was presented as such, it was not something for which I could be prosecuted, he told the newspaper. So, yeah, Simes this is the guy that was they've got charges against him.
Okay.
Yep.
And where? We don't know.
Oh, they believe he's in Russia.
Oh.
But here you go. Ukraine gets a new chief diplomat as the war with Russia enters a critical phase. Wow. Yeah. Ukraine's parliament approved the appointment of a new foreign minister. Zelensky sought to breathe fresh life into his administration with the war. You mean dictatorship, because he's declared martial law. They have not held an election. The Ukraine people have no way of voting him out if they don't like the things he's doing. Isn't that how most dictators rule? Don't be surprised whenever it happens in other countries that might be really close to near and dear to your heart. Ukraine lawmakers Zelensky and Hershon confirmed the vote to the AP. Basically, he left. And it wasn't that they forced him out. He was just like, he left because he saw that things were not going good. Ukraine waited to see whether the military's gamble with its surprise thrust into Russia's Kursk border region a month ago pays dividends. And they want to be firing long-range aerial attacks into Russia. They've got a casualty list from the missile strike, and they're saying that the Ukraine city of Poltava grew to 55 and 328 wounded. But yet we only are hearing this from the AP, and I don't trust what the AP is saying. Because they kept saying that, they've got all these F-16 aircrafts, and they had all these wonderful people that were now involved in all of this stuff. Just don't trust them. It's hard for me to trust anything that the AP says. I mean, look, federal investigators see phones from New York City police boss, 4 top mayoral deputies. Federal investigators seized phones from New York City's police commissioner and 4 top deputies, New York Mayor Eric Adams, according to people familiar with the matter. FBI seized devices Wednesday from the homes of several high-ranking city officials, said 2 people who spoke out on a condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss this ongoing investigation. First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, Philip Bank, the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, his brother David Banks, the city's school chancellor, Timothy Pierce, a mayoral advisor, and former high-ranking New York Police Department official. The feds also seized devices from the home of the police commissioner, Edward Caban, one of the people said. Search is added to a flurry of investigative activity around Adams' administration, his campaign, and the first-term Democrat himself. He previously received subpoenas and had his electronics seized in federal inquiries. Federal authorities haven't accused him or his officials of any crimes, and Adams, a retired police captain, has denied any wrongdoing. I have been clear that my message throughout the public life is to follow the law, said Adams. He told reporters earlier in City Hall, I don't care. The NYPD said the statement was aware that cooperating with the investigation. Benjamin Broff, attorney for Philip Banks, confirmed the search was conducted at his homes. He took office, don't care when he did it. Adams appointed Caban, veteran NYPD, as police commissioner. But yeah, it looks like the feds are going after some high-ranking officials there in New York City. Yeah, no different than they did in Dalton. There's a lot of shenanigans that are afoot. Lots of shenanigans that are afoot in this country. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Election ramping up, folks.
It's just hard to even keep up with it. And it's also very, very heartbreaking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that the goal, to keep it hard? You can get a flood of information. And you also have to understand that flood of information is could be weeks old.
Yeah, but I would just feel like sometimes it's not even really, they don't really tell you anything. Yeah, we seized this stuff and there was something hinky going on, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
Well, they can't, because it's an ongoing investigation.
Well, I mean, you can arrest somebody for, shooting up a high school, and we know why they're being arrested or why they're being investigated.
Right. Or the father.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is very heartbreaking, knowing that this is what we're up against. Isn't the goal to keep it hard? Jizzy 2024. Guess the goal is to keep it hard. Hard as a rock.
That's what she
Hard
said.
as a rock. That's what she said. It was solid. Solid as a rock. Not only sometimes, Rosalind, sometimes you just trust the gut. It's sus. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of it is.
Well, my research hat is on, so I hear stuff and I'm like, what? You just told me nothing. I mean, you just got somebody who made you mad. That's all I heard.
Yes. That is about it. I do have a hard time getting a lot of this information because the amount of time that it takes for you to really dig into it is time that I don't have.
Oh, I agree.
You know, it's like if you really, you know, I've done this live before where the AP quotes somebody as talking about how disinformation is being spread throughout the United States and it's Russian disinformation, where it's coming from. And then I pull up the information on the reporting company that's talking about this. And one of their main goals is diversity, equity, inclusion.
Oh, nice.
Whenever I see that, I go, I don't trust you now because you've got an agenda.
Didn't earn it.
Exactly. Yeah, they've got an agenda. These companies have an agenda, and it's a very left-wing agenda. And then you go down a rabbit hole and see who owns the companies, and you find out that they're foreign owned. They're run by foreign entities. I've done it before. I pulled one up that I think they came out of what the hell was it? It was like some Saudi-backed company. I was like, what in the hell is this Saudi-backed company doing with this? Oh yeah, this is the company that's supporting Kamala Harris. Yeah, they've got their donations into the Harris campaign through shell companies is unbelievable. Because all you have to do is find out who the main company is and see who owns that LLC, and then you can start digging up and start finding out that these companies are foreign owned. They're just a shell company that's supporting their latest propaganda. And you see them both on the left and the right. It's not just one side or the other. It's foreign influence in elections. Yeah. Whenever they say, hey, we're looking at it. No, you're only looking to what you want to find. Hard man is good to find. Well, thank you, Stacy. I try. Speaking of being hard to find, I've got to go tear my front porch up. So anything you want to tell these fine folks there, Roslyn, before I shut this thing down?
Just have a great day.
Oh, isn't that special? Do you want to see my new intro that I've been working on?
Yes, please.
It's a short one, so it that just sounds wrong. It just sounds wrong. Let me pull this thing up for you guys. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.
Running through the maze, I felt the pain, chasing my only dream, breaks in the scheme. Waking up at dawn, all my fears are gone. I'll stop today, never, not today. Compromise, rise above it all, not gonna fall. Step by step I go, faster than the flow. Broke through every chain, I will not be contained.